So if you know you want to date a Halle Berry, and Halle Berry likes to go to Nobu and Hakkasan and all of those places, right? And all those sexy fish, get your money up so you can date the Halle Berry to take her to these places. Don't be dealing with these small fishes out here that you know that you don't really want to deal with. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
So what I'm saying is, if you know you're that type of person that you're creative with your dates, as in your dates, you can't afford to take her out, but you can afford to invite her over and cook for her and have make a little romantic scenario within the four corners of your house, fam. I'm not against that. You know why? Because you're gonna work towards taking her out to do the big shit.
So my 2 cents of that, right? All of this me saying like, hey, like keep your ass at home, is for me like to be, I guess, transparent, dabbling to try and date. Well, bro, it just doesn't work, right? Yeah. So that whole thing of like, oh yeah, I'll cook for you, is sweet, but it doesn't last. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, to be honest, it depends on the character of the person. Of the character of the guy. If he's really serious that, yo, I really like you, but I can't afford to date you, but I'm serious about you. Like,
Could you imagine a guy saying that to you?
You know what?
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Juice and the Sauce. As always, your two hosts are here, myself, Lasimba, and Nastasha.
Hi.
What's happening? How you been? How's your week been?
My week's been good. How's your week been?
Interesting. I went to Bread Ahead.
Yes.
So Bread Ahead are over in Borough Market.
Yeah.
And they make sick donuts.
I haven't tried the donuts. I did try the what was it that I tried? I think it was like they had something that I really tried over.
Was it bread? They're known for their sour bread as well.
No, it's not bread. It was like during Easter. I think it was like a hot cross bun or something like that.
Okay.
There was something that I bought from there, and I enjoyed it.
So I'm up in Harrow, Northwest London. They have classes in Wembley because they open up some, I guess, another site in Wembley. I couldn't get, I guess, space in the Wembley class, but I did for the Borough Market, and like it was worth every penny. Like I spent £90 for the lesson, the ticket, whatever. And the people that were missing, right? So the reason why I was giggling is because that meant extra donuts for us that we got to share and stuff like that. They are sick. They are soft. They are moist. They're just like, because we got them straight out of the, like you fry them, right?
Yeah.
And you take them fresh out. Have you ever had them when it's donut?
I haven't had a donut that's like fresh out of the oven.
These were sick. And also as well, so cool. Basically, I didn't know this, but the difference between like, I don't know if it's their recipe, but like a donut and like a brioche is basically the amount of butter apparently that they put in there. Yeah. And so basically what he did is he took some of the donuts and then he fried them, and then he took some of the donuts he put in the oven. Yeah. And the ones that you put in the oven, like it tastes like a bread.
Yeah, they're more bread-like. That's the main difference between a baked donut and a fried one. The ones that are baked are much more bread-like, and then the fried ones are more fluffy, donut-like, and you get the crisp on the outside and the fluffiness on the inside. Yeah.
Because what we were all saying in the class is like when we had them, it's like these would make like sick burgers. Like to have that kind of bread, like that donut.
Yeah. I think there's a company who do that, donut burgers.
Oh, really?
I think so. I know it doesn't exist. It must be a place in the US that does like donutty kind of burgers.
Because I know KFC in the States, they were doing them, I think last year. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That would make a sick burger. Like, don't even think about calories when you're eating that. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it for what
basically.
It is. Because it's not an everyday thing.
Have you had chicken and waffles before?
Yes. I had it in the States, and like I've had chicken and waffles here, and I've had chicken and waffles in the States, and there's a huge difference. The ones here, I had to pour mass amounts of syrup on it because everything was very crispy. And it wasn't like the chicken inside was moist. It was like, it was hella crispy. Then it was like dry chicken. And I get this thing where in the UK, when like things like chicken and waffles come over here, it's just it can be very, very dry. And it's just like, it's not moist. It's not, you know, it's crispy. I like the crispiness, but when you get inside to taste the chicken, it's very dry. And then the waffles in themselves become hard, and it wasn't like the best experience of eating, because all this place does is chicken and waffles. So I was just like, if this is how you're doing your chicken and waffles, and I only went there once.
Where'd you go?
What's the chicken place?
Is it Bird?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like Bird?
Yes, it was Bird. I thought, like, I don't know, maybe it was the day I went in there. I just didn't, I had to put too much syrup on it. And when I've tasted waffles and syrup in the US, I don't know, maybe they fry it because it's fried in butter or something. Like, everything was moist. It was crispy. The chicken was moist. Even without like adding syrup to it, everything was nice. The waffles were nice and fluffy. They were very fluffy and cake-like. So the combo went down mad good. The ones here, I didn't find the waffles fluffy at all. I felt like it was just kind of like, it's a great concept to take from the States. Let's do it our way. And it didn't hit the spot for me. Sorry. Their burgers were nice, but not I wouldn't order chicken and waffles again.
That's interesting, because I haven't had like chicken and waffles in the States. I actually would love to try it.
Yeah.
But like, I actually enjoy Bird. Like, I really do. I remember I got lost in Stratford somewhere, and I walked over like 40 minutes or so just to go to Bird, just to have the chicken and waffles.
I don't know. Like, for me, fried chicken here isn't like fried chicken in the States. So when I've tried fried chicken in the States, it's like a whole new experience. Fried chicken here it tends to be really dry. And like, what I see people enjoying, I'm like, this chicken is dry. Fam, you get into the middle of the chicken and shit is still dry. But I don't know, maybe I mean, I've tasted the stuff in the States, and I'm just like, there's more seasoning in it. And I find that here, when it comes to seasoning,
yeah, like I had Popeyes once.
Yeah.
This is before that whole, what are they doing now?
the burger.
Yeah, this is before that. This is going back maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something.
Yeah.
But I remember at the time thinking there's a big difference between like that and like Morley's, Tennessee, Sam's Chicken. It's just like, it's not even close. You know
And
what I mean?
even like, I mean, when I was in the States, last time I was in the States, I had their KFC, and I had, because they were all like, my brother was like, you have to have it with a biscuit. And I was just like, what the fuck is a biscuit? Like, and a biscuit is their version of a scone. But it's actually much nicer. I had chicken and biscuits in KFC, and it spun my head. It actually spun me, because I was like, I didn't think KFC could taste this good, because when you're used to what you're used to in the UK, like, you know, I'm not expecting, I expect it to be good, but I'm not expecting it to blow my mind, right? It's like, when we went to Wingstop UK, I mean, that's another, there will be reviews. We've done our review on that. But yeah, the KFC over there spun my head. It was like, if I'm being honest, like sometimes when I'm eating KFC here, I just sometimes eat it in the hopes for it to spin my head like the US one did. It's a whole different, and madly enough, yeah, I remember like when I even ordered the KFC, I was like, why are the chicken pieces so big? Like, what's wrong with your chickens over here? Like, they were like some mad big pieces, and I was like, is this even real chicken? Like, yo, like, is this chicken pieces? So in comparison, yeah, chicken and waffles is not something I have in the UK, because it's not like the stuff that I've tasted before. But there are restaurants, like, I really want to go to Sweet Chick, which is Nas.
Sweet Chick?
Yeah, I think it's called Sweet Chick. Nas's restaurant that's just opened over here, Sweet Chick, UK. I do want to try their chicken and waffles, I'm not going to lie. And I have no expectations right now, so it's just one of those things I want to try.
Yeah, now let's add that to the to-do list and get it done. Tell the people what it's saying. Speaking of like KFC and stuff and like international comparisons, I always remember like the wings that I had from KFC in Ghana, like they shit.
Even that's what exactly. Even like when I've been to South Africa, like the burgers in South Africa, like the chicken burgers, the beef burgers, like UK is like sad when it comes to just good food. Even when I went to Kenya and I saw what did I have in Kenya? I think I had like some burger like in the airport, like whilst we were waiting for transit, had a burger out there, and I was just like, man, what the fuck are the UK doing? Because like it's just the mileage, the difference. It's just kind of like, and one thing I've noticed, it's actually just to do with the seasoning most of the time. Like over here, everything is quite bland and plain. People may disagree with me, but like other countries be seasoning their food properly, innit? Like,
so on that note then, all right, for our international listeners, is there anything you actually recommend apart from cake?
Yeah, apart from cake. No, you can recommend cake and biscuits and desserts. Like today, actually, I really, really wanted a cheesecake, and I was just like, Natasha, you are not going to go home and make a cheesecake for yourself. That's facts on facts, innit? If I had a cheesecake mix, I probably would, yeah.
Okay.
But it does take like a day to set, innit? You can't have a cheesecake straight out of the oven. And I was like, where can I go in the UK? Like, where can I go in London and get a good damn slice of cheesecake? And nowhere came to mind.
Who does really sick cheesecake?
I may be missing a place, but I like, if I wanted like right now, where would I go for a cheesecake? I don't know. I can name a load of cake places. I ended up going to get a cookie from Ben's Cookies, yeah.
You know where, like, surprisingly, actually, that I used to really like their cheesecake, but I think they've changed it because it doesn't taste the same. Nando's, actually. Have you tasted cheesecake at Nando's?
No. I remember when we did go to Nando's and you did get a cheesecake and you were just like, yeah.
Did you not try it then? Did I?
No, you ate that so far. Like, you looked like you were in a world of your own. I didn't even want to say, can I try it? But, you know, no, I ended that time we were in Nando's, I had a Portuguese nata, actually.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, maybe there's a place that I'm missing and I don't know. But there's no good places, you know, like the funny thing is when I was in New York, there's loads of places to stop by and get a good cheesecake, a good donut, and, you know, there's all the good stuff.
That's their thing though, isn't it? Like the New York cheesecake and then the donuts and stuff, that's their thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and I suppose our thing is like cupcakes and cakes, yeah, I get it. Like, and more pastry kind of like, I don't know. But even at that, like...
Even our pastries, I don't think we're good at pastries here. Like Greg's, is that the pinnacle of your
Greg's is just like, it's not even the pinnacle. Greg's is just like, Greg's is your basics, isn't it? Like, you know what you're getting from Greg's, a lot of salt.
Yeah,
and a pastry, and you're good to go. But Greg's isn't the best that we've got to offer.
Because look,
it's just another commercial chain thing. I don't know, like, don't ask me about Greg's. I mean, I go in there. I have nothing to say. Greg's is Greg's, innit? Like, I'll go and get a donut and a yum yum in there, like, yo. But it's one of those, like, if someone comes to me and says, Natasha, where's a great place to go and get like a donut? I'm not gonna go Greg's, am I? I'd probably go Marks and Spencer's and pick up a yum yum. But if you want a good donut, I'm gonna go Crosstown or
Crosstown.
They're alright. You know what? They're not. What can I say?
I didn't like them.
If I'm being honest, my favorite donut, I haven't tasted the ones at Bread Ahead yet, so I can't, you know, judge on that. But a good donut for me is Krispy Kreme's. But it's their original glazed ones. I've had their flavoured ones, and their flavoured ones for me don't really hit the spot like a glazed one. The original glazed one, when they come straight out of the oven, let me tell you, I can down at least a good like 5-6 of those. Don't even talk to me when I'm eating one of those. Another good place to get a donut is, what do you call it? Dunkin' Donuts.
So when I had Dunkin' Donuts, like it for me it didn't live up to the hype.
See, this is the thing with Dunkin'. I'm not gonna lie about Dunkin' Donuts. You have to go there in the morning when they're just open to get the freshest one, because the more they sit out in the day,
it just goes hard and stuff.
And
right?
if I'm being honest, my uncle way back in the day when I was young, like when I was like 5, probably like 7, between the ages of 7 and 12, he used to work in Dunkin' Donuts. And back then, which is like a good 20 years ago, that shit used to pop. Mm-hmm. Them donuts were different back in the day. But as of recent, they're questionable. But there's a lot of things that are questionable as of recent. If I'm being honest, Marks and Spencer's cheesecake, you know, if I don't want to make mine, I'll go to Marks and Spencer and pick up a cheesecake, of which I did a couple of weeks ago. And it just didn't, it was like, I don't know, maybe coming off the back of me having my own cheesecake a couple of weeks earlier, that wasn't a cheesecake. That was like a cream cake. And it was just more double cream than it was actually cheese in it. And I was very disappointed because the ratio of the biscuit base to the actual cheesecake, the biscuit base was nice, but the cheesecake in itself
didn't hit the spot.
It didn't hit the spot. And I was quite sad because usually the Marks and Spencer's cheesecake has always hit the spot. So I was kind of just like, where can I go now and get a decent cheesecake?
It's funny. Yeah. The more that we talk about it, I'm starting to think that nowhere like in the... Again, maybe I need to visit more places, but nowhere's really standing out for me. Like if I had a foreign visitor and I'm like, look, you have to try this. This is what London's about. This food is banging. Like nothing really stands out for me. Maybe I need to try more food.
I don't know. Like I suppose there's a few places that I would like to take people, but it's mostly like Thai food. It's Thai food and Korean food. Like the Korean fried chicken.
Oh, like the wing. What did we have?
We had wing, but there's other places that I've tried recently that freaking bang. Like, you know, like on the BAP, freaking bangs. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was working in Old Street, 2013, 14 time, on the BAP was like my place to go. Like they took all of my money sometimes, and it still does. On the BAP, and I have to say, in terms of street food, there's a lot of little vendors that I would take. Okay, yeah. So in terms of restaurant places, that I just think the whole kind of comfort food restaurant places. There isn't a place that particularly stands out, which is I agree with that. But when it comes to the street food industry, like the small eats and the small eats kind of places, the places that are very kind of niche, where you see there's long queues outside. Them places there, those ones are the ones on the rise. And I love the fact some of them have still kept small and kept loyal to their brand, in fact, to keep that kind of... They still have that, they say, with the taste. So when I do have people saying, oh, where should we go and eat? I do recommend, there's a pizza place in round Shoreditch that's actually really, really good. And I'm not a big... pasta Italian, people love pasta and I'm just I'm over pasta. I don't know why people are like, don't you love pasta? I'm just like, fam, over it. I've been over pasta. I went to Rome and had Italian food in Rome, completely different. I would very much recommend, the pasta we get here is obviously it's the commercialized stuff, so I'm not really about that. But when it comes to kind of Korean food, Japanese, them small eats there, those ones, there's places I would recommend, quite a few places in Old Street, on the BAP, what is it called? Viet Grill.
Okay.
They do a mad lamb redneck curry.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Yo, Viet Grills.
Yeah.
Lamb curry, that redneck curry. Shit, like nothing can tear me away from that shit. That bangs. Like whenever someone's like, oh, I want to go to like a Vietnamese, that's where we're going. Take all my money. That's where we're going. There's a place that a friend took me in Vauxhall. That does like KFC, Korean fried chicken. That place bangs. Like there's always a queue outside for a reason. Yeah, so them kind of little places there, those ones are the ones for me that are kind of like hitting the spot and stuff. So, but the kind of like the restaurant kind of comfort food kind of places, it's a toss up, isn't it?
While you're speaking about like street food and stuff, like two places I want to give a shout out to is Mother Clucker.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Mother Clucker is fucking sorry, my language. Mother Clucker is fucking amazing, and that's one of the places I don't go to often because yo, their fried chicken,
sick. It's banging, 100%.
Banging,
banging.
Cajun fried. That's the first place that I actually said when they say Cajun. It's actually Cajun. Their seasoning is actually on point, like literally on point.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if have you had Strictly Dumpling before?
No.
So they do like these Chinese dumplings and stuff. Tasty, really.
Okay,
they're really Moorish because like you like if you eat 10 or something, you're not full.
Okay,
So yeah, Strictly Dumpling. There's a place I've had like bao buns. I have no idea what it's called, but there was one with like ice cream in it. That was like a dessert bao bun. That was sick. I don't remember like what it's called.
Yeah, you see all of these places that we're talking about now, those are the ones that are hitting the spot and they can take all of my money. Like they can take all of my money without a doubt because their food, like they've kept their menu. And this is one thing I always like, even me myself has realized, it's keeping your menu to 2 or 3, like let's just say maximum like about 4 or 5 things, or even just 3 solid things, doing those 3 solid things really well, and it's just like flying out the door. And funny enough, today I was thinking about this idea. I don't want to do it because I don't have time to do it.
Okay.
But there is no kind of like place that's doing fried plantain in fritters. Like fried, just selling plantain, but with different seasonings on it. And I thought about that idea because my friend, she's one of my interns. She's from Ivory Coast, and she before last summer she was helping me, and she was like, yeah, you know, I don't really want to eat because I was making lunch, and I was like, oh, do you want some fried plantain? I'm gonna fry some plantain. She was like, nah, I don't want any because like in Ivory Coast, like everybody sells like fried plantain. It's like the snack, and she's gonna eat so much of it, and over there it tastes much better. And I was like, what, like vendors will be selling? She was like, yeah, everybody does their own kind of plantain. And I was just thinking, I was in the shower the other day, and I was just thinking, yeah, there's nobody actually doing, you know, you can make a mint off of just like fried plantain in different flavors.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But think about it, like fried plantain with chili, fried plantain with like sweet, like a sweet version, a sweet fried plain dumpling, a fried plantain with like garlic, a fried plantain with just fried plantain, plantain fries.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I was just like, nobody's picked up on that idea because it's just such a cheap thing to do. And it's just like, if one of those street vendors, personally, you can take this idea and run with it. I don't really care, but like, I'd just like to see it. I just want someone to do it so I can go and taste it. Me, I have no ambitions for it.
There's a place actually I saw this on YouTube, a place in, I think it's Paris, but it's France anyway.
Yeah.
They make burgers, but the burger buns are made with like squash or mashed plantain.
Yeah.
And then they just squash it into like a patty.
Yeah.
And then, they make a burger out of it. So,
I mean, there's nobody doing this right now. And y'all vegan people would be rocking with this like 1000%. That's all I got to say. Like, yeah. I mean, if I was like a plant-based, like raw plant-based eater, that's the kind of thing I would jump on top of and like ride with because one plantain, like, actually, I want to take this idea. No, sorry, no, I don't actually. But I think it'd be just such a great thing to see and do.
Yeah, even just fritters in general. You know,
Yeah,
like just get like saltfish fritters or something like that.
not
just,
even saltfish fritters, just like banana fritters, like just a vegan truck. Yeah, that just
on the
does
vegan
it.
thing, yeah.
Just for, honestly, just a plantain thing in different flavors, but made in different. You can have it fried, boiled, but different flavored. Like you can do a plantain burger, a plantain wrap, and fried plantain on its own. And the fried plantain, you can make it into a chip kind of thing, where it's just like, you know, chips it like plantain in batter, salt and pepper, chili, make up your own spices, fam, sell it.
No, 100%.
Yeah, that's the plantain thing. I just thought it'd be a great idea, and I haven't seen anyone really pick that idea of the plantain, taking plantain to new levels. We've seen the crisp, like we've exhausted the crisp, like everybody's got plantain crisp, but actually taking that and reinventing it into fries, into a fritter, into a burger. Yes, I've seen other people turn it into plantain fritter and do a plantain burger, but is there a truck that's doing that dedicated just to that? And especially, like I'm saying, it would be an also, like it's a money spinner in so many ways, because plantain, you know, $4 for a pound, or if you're buying it wholesale, you can buy it cheap. The thing that you're gonna really be doing is spending on whether you're doing bread or whatever you want to do with it. But literally, it's just I find it just like a really good money spinner. And for the fact that it's vegan, you're making this thing is vegan. It's a dope idea. You're gonna get vegan people buying it. You're gonna get normal people buying it. You got everybody and a mum, dad, sister, everybody.
You just said.
No, what did I say?
You said you're going to get vegan people buying it. You're going to get normal people buying it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take back my words, like normal people. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant, okay, you're going to get everyone purchasing it. Like, let's make a correction. Everyone will be purchasing it, whether you're a meat eater or a vegan. Oh, gosh. Like, honestly, I'm just tired. I had a long weekend. I'm tired.
Talking of long weekends, why don't you tell the people about your adventures?
Okay, so this weekend, I went to, this is so funny because I feel like I manifested this from last year and it came true, and I just want to thank the heavens and the universe and God and all of my ancestors for making this come true. You know, like sometimes you speak things into existence, but you forget what you've spoken into existence. Well, anyway, cut a long story short. Or cut the story so I get to where I went. So I'm a huge fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. If you haven't seen Drag Race on Netflix, it's a competition for drag queens. And queens are men who dress up. If you don't know what a drag queen is, they are men who dress up as female alter egos, and they're entertainers. And let me tell you, the show that I went to last year after watching season 8, who got me into Drag Race? My sister. She was like, you're actually going to find it inspiring. And I was like, fam, I don't have time to be watching RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, is it that exciting? Watch season 1. Yo, that shit had me hooked. I want to shout out to RuPaul and just putting that together, because let me tell you, drag queens make me so freaking happy. When I say they make me so happy, they are just so entertaining and they are just larger than life, and they are like the midst of the party. They're just fun people. Like, honestly, their entertainment, their comedy, hilarious. So I went to the sibling rivalry show, and that featured Bob the Drag Queen, who was winner of RuPaul's Drag Race season 8, and Monet Exchange, who featured in, I think it was season 10. Yeah, I think she was season 10, but she was voted off, like, she was the 7th person to be voted off or something like that. She came up quite early in the competition, which was sad because I could see how much potential she had. But she came back for RuPaul has an All Stars one, and they started the All Stars series, and she won season 4, which I watched like a month ago. And so Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange have they've got a podcast, and their show called Sibling Rivalry. They're not related, but it works very, very well. But they're a part of the New York drag scene. So different states have different drag, and there's like the pageant queen drag. Honestly, once you get into the world of drag, you're just like, whoa, it's like a different world, right? But understand that these are 6 foot tall men, over 6 foot, and they're like dressing up as women, and it's just not even dressing up as women, taking on their alter egos and just entertaining people, and they look absolutely freaking gorgeous. Let me tell you, I couldn't even do my makeup like a quarter. It couldn't even reach how they do. Like, they're talented in their craft, you know what I mean? Okay. It's not just about dressing up, it's just the sheer talent of like really just tucking yourself, like just get into the costumes and, you know, putting on the padding, because these people look like real women. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I am a butch man, because in comparison, y'all look more like feminine than I do. You know what I mean? Oh, wow. But okay. They had a show because this weekend was the first UK Drag Con. And their show was last night, and I went along with a friend of mine who also is a huge fan of RuPaul Drag Race. And let me tell you, their show was wild and fucking hilarious. I haven't laughed so much in my life. They are entertaining. These women were like, women like dancing hardcore on stage. Their numbers were fun. The comedy was on point. Like, literally, they had me in hysterics. One of the best shows that I've seen, and that was my first drag show that I've been to, and they were motherfucking hilarious. They're motherfucking entertaining, and I got to meet them at the end. Okay. Which was like the most amazing thing, because like one of my favorite drag queens from RuPaul was actually Bob the drag queen. And last year I was like to my sister, yeah, one day I'm gonna meet Bob the drag queen, and I did last night, and he was like so adorable, like so cool to meet them both backstage. And yeah, I had an amazing time. Like, for people who want to go to a drag show and have been thinking about it, I honestly say go. Like, it's not even about like what your sexual orientation is, it's just about having a good time. And there was like every orientation in the audience, and we were all just there to have a freaking good time, and it was hilarious. And so one of the sections of the show was like, they asked the audience, they come down from the stage and they were asking the audience what song they want to lip sync. So lip syncing is just like, it is what it is, isn't it? It's just lip syncing, miming the song, basically. But they are professionals at miming the song, right? That's their thing. Like, and so my friend was like, I was like, yeah, let's ask them to do an Afrobeat song. And then like we were just like, yeah, can you do like Davido If? And so Bob the drag queen, and Monet Exchange was just like, who? Afro who? And then Bob the drag queen she said Beyonce, it's her accent. I was just like, what? Like, they're not even gonna give it like. So yeah, they did the lip sync thing at the end, where we like the audience we selected songs that we wanted them to perform. And they were getting pure tips from the audience as well, like 20s, 10s. People like, if you do this song, I'll give you a 20. Making like, honestly, awesome show. And they did the lip sync thing at the end, like they did like a long number with all the songs that we chose, which was absolutely hilarious. And I love their audience participation in it. Freaking hilarious. Like, there's so many gags in there that I can't even say it, because I think people will be like, really? Did they start saying that during the show? I'll tell you afterwards. But like, it was hilarious. It was so that was like, it was actually one of the things on my bucket list. I don't even know, like, should I even have a bucket list at my age? But anyway, there's things that I really wanted to do, and like really, really wanted to go and see and experience. And one of the things was to meet drag queens and to go to a drag queen show, of which I did. My next one is to actually go to New York and go to a drag scene out in New York, because I'm not saying I haven't seen the London drag. I didn't watch the London version of the show, but all I know is I want to go to the States and experience it there, because let me tell you, it must be, if this is what they're doing in the UK, the US must be mad.
Okay, sounds like you You really had some fun, man.
I did. Like, I have to say, like, one of the biggest things is I started watching RuPaul's Drag Race when I was very, very depressed. And it just it took me away from my depression and gave me another, like, it just showed me a new world and how happy, like, how, like, they've turned their hardships into comedy, and they're out there to make you forget about the bad shit. And they do that.
So that's your form of escape.
Yeah, and that was my form of escape, watching drag queens and watching them get ready and aspiring. And even like last night, like they got a standing ovation, like, and they like, Bob the drag queen was like, he was like crying, and he was just like, if I told you that we were doing this show years ago and we in like bars in New York and would only have like 4 people turn up, and now we're selling out places, we're selling out freaking arenas. Like, if you have a dream, go for it. No matter how long it takes you, go for it. He was just like, I didn't think I'd be standing here doing UK Drag Con, touring the world, doing what I absolutely love, which is entertaining people. Funny as fuck. So those people are very, like, you know, what they've done for the world just to bring that slice of joy into people's life, not just by dressing up, but just the message that they deliver. And it's just love. Like, they just love. And that's what it is. And even if you watch RuPaul's Drag, there's so many lines that RuPaul says. Like, he'll be like, everyone say love. And it's just like, you end up saying it. And it makes you just feel better. And it's just like taking away all the negativity and just concentrating on love. Like, it makes a huge difference. And that's what Drag Race taught me.
I think it's important. So yeah, one thing is, it says a lot about like the longevity, about persistence and like pursuing your dreams, which I think is really cool. And also everybody, which I think is important, whether it's, you know, drag queens or it's other kinds of shows, whatever it is, needs to find your escape. Yeah, because like the outside world will beat you up.
Yeah, you know, and that's the one thing, and you have to realize as well, like, especially when you're watching Drag Race, and like when each drag queen on that show is telling their story of how, you know, they've had to hide themselves and they've not been their authentic self, and coming out and doing drag with difficulties and, you know, being judged and stuff, but still finding family within, like, that whole culture is a family within itself, and how that they've just managed to break free of that and live your authentic self. And that's one thing that drag race taught me, like living your authentic self, being the person that you know you want to be, and being that free person and expressing yourself, but always carrying love in whatever you do, like in whatever small thing. And it's like one thing that like Bob the drag queen said yesterday is like a small win equals a big win for tomorrow, for your next, you know, it's a build up to your biggest win. So that was just like amazing, and just being in the audience and just, it was, like, honestly, like, if you know me personally, I talk about Drag Race all the time, and it's like, I love it. You know, the next show that I really want to go and see, the drag queens that I really want to see now, is Shea Coulee, who is also on Drag Race, Peppermint, like literally there's so many, but Shea Coulee is like she like my all-time favorite. Like, okay. I love Bob the drag queen, one of my favorites, but Shea Coulee, she is like, she another level of drag. But I would love just to meet her, because she's so sassy, she cool, she like the hip funk, like she, like, honestly, yeah. And they even mentioned her. They were like, oh, yeah, y'all thought we were Shea Coulee and Peppermint. And they're like, because those are the next, like, everybody loves them as well. So, yeah, like, I loved it. Like, honestly, I'll go to another one.
I hear that. I can tell by the smile on your face how much you
you know what? When I'm smiling so hard, you know I enjoyed something. When I've got a straight face, you know, like, she pissed or she just didn't enjoy herself. But, yeah, I had an awesome night last night.
Cool. I think this is a great time to now segue into the mains for today. Before we do that, I haven't introed the show.
I thought you did.
Nah. All I did was just say, like, yeah, hey, Simba and the Sasha were into the show.
Intro the show then. The show, B.
Juice, I haven't practiced. Juice and the Sauce is...
We're going to get there. I thought he had already introed the show, to be quite fair.
Okay, cool. Here we go. Juice and the Sauce is the show that chops up and serves you live topics narrated through the love of food and, most importantly, desserts. Charismatic random stories for a sweet entree, followed by a meaty main course of discussions, followed by recommended flavors from the continent to round up this foodie's delight of a podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
There you go.
I have to say, like, yesterday... What food today? I mean, yesterday I didn't have that much to drink, but I know the combo that I had to drink yesterday was just not the one to try in my life. I had a G&T because, you know, like as you get older with age, you know, you get the refined, mature palate. So you start liking these things that older people like, not old people, but older people like what my mum likes. Because I never thought I'd like a G&T because that shit tastes like. Back in the day, I'd be like, this tastes like medicine. Who's trying to drink medicine? But now my palate has become more refined. And I had a glass of red wine, and that just sent me, I woke up with a migraine, and I was like, nah, fam, that combo is just not the one to drink.
It didn't work. I can't say G&T is my favorite, if I'm honest. I become very addicted, actually, to porn-style martinis. Do you like porn-style martini?
I do. My favorite martini is an espresso martini.
I haven't had that.
Okay, this is only because when I used to work for a company in Old Street, one of the guys there who was he liked to look at numbers on a screen. I don't know what you call
accountant?
No, a programmer.
Okay.
An app builder, whatever. What you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Basically, and he used to make a wicked espresso martini. Like, fam, our Friday nights would be just like espresso martini nights, and we had loads of stuff in that, like in that office. We just used to order whatever the staff wanted. Not because, you know, it wasn't like take the piss. It was more like whatever made the office much more of a great environment, a happy place that people want to come and work in, you know. So we had like, we had a whole cocktail bar in our office. Yeah, it was a bit like a Facebook office where you get like racks of snacks and all of that, like good coffee machines, drinks and whatever. Like, it was a great office. I never used to buy food when I worked there, which was great. So, but he made wicked espresso martinis, and it just became our thing on Friday. Like it was Margarita Fridays with espresso martinis. So I wasn't into margaritas up until like he started making margaritas, and then I knew what a good margarita was. Because I think you can get really bad margaritas, like when you could just go to these average bars and they're just doing average cocktails, and you taste it and you're like, oh, it tastes like fruit juice with rum in it. Cool. But when you taste proper cocktails, yeah. So I agree with you. Porn-style martini isn't my favorite, but I do like it. Is that the one with the passion fruit on it?
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah.
And then the little prosecco. What do you do with your prosecco? Do you drink it? Do you pour it in? What do you do?
I don't think I've had a porn-style martini.
So what?
I don't know what I've been drinking. To be honest, I don't think I've had a porn. I've.
But it does have the passion fruit in it.
Yeah, I've had one, and they light up the passion fruit, right? Okay, so it's a different cocktail. Okay, cool. I don't know what cocktail that was, but no. So no, I've never ordered a porn-style martini.
That's what we need to do for like Flavour of the Continent. Like,
we need to do
drunk.
Let's. As long as you order me an Uber home, we're good. Like, yo.
Hey, look, it's for the service of the people, so people know where.
Okay. You know, my drink tolerance is so low.
Oh, really?
I'm one of those people that when I'm sitting down, I can bang out like 4 cocktails, but let me stand up, over. That's what gets me, is like I can drink a lot, and then it's what that moment that I say, oh, I'm going, hey, please excuse me, I'm going to the ladies. That is when I'm just like, yo, because when you're sitting down, it's just, you're just taking it. It's that moment where you get up and you realize, okay, I've had far too much. I've gone over my limit.
You know, I don't even know what my tolerance is anymore, because like back in the day, now I say this, I feel like I'm starting to feel old. Like back in the day, like I used to drink a lot of champagne.
I mean, back in the day, I used to drink a lot. I used to drink a lot, and I just used to wonder where it all goes. Now, after about 3 cocktails, I'm questioning myself.
I'm pretty sure around Christmas I had a Smirnoff Ice, and I started to feel it. And I know that is
a Smirnoff Ice, you know.
I'm lightweight now, you know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Back in the day, Smirnoff Ice was that was a drink in the bottle. That was like your club drink. Everybody was drinking Smirnoff Ice. I remember. This is how old I am. I remember when Smirnoff Ice first came out.
Really?
Yeah, because remember it was Hooch before that.
Hooch.
It was the Hooch era.
I remember Hooch, and then like the news was going mad about all these alcohol pops and the frozen ones.
Yeah. And then there was WKD.
WKD.
So it was like. So when Smirnoff Ice came out, it was the era of like ending the era. Like Hooch was still like the shit, and WKD was a shit. And then Smirnoff Ice came out, and it just like broke the market because everybody was like, the Smirnoff Ice is the.
I used to love Hooch, actually.
There you go.
I used to love Hooch.
That's showing our age, people, that we remember Hooch and that. And if you don't know Hooch, that means you're a millennial and you're a Generation Z, and you're just like, these people be freaking old. Like, they're old.
I remember my friends used to like go and buy alcohol. I don't know how they got it. They bought alcohol, and then we used to go. There was a hill behind the town centre. We always used to go up the hill and start drinking and stuff like that. Not to get they're like drink to get drunk. I'm just like one or two drinks, but even so, it's just
the responsible one, so he can see what was happening and see who was misbehaving, so he can report them the next day. No, joking.
Just remembering, like, there's all sorts. So it's funny, like a story's coming back to me around that time, right? I remember it was a summer, and around those days, I guess I'm older now. It doesn't really matter. I can tell the story. Home time was like, I think 8, 9 o'clock. I had to be in my house. Yeah. Right. So what I did, right, is that I went out every week, and every week I just pushed it by about 5-10 minutes. Yeah. So if I'd be back by 8 o'clock, next week I came back 10 past 8. Then I pushed it 20 past 8. Before you know it, by the end of the summer, I could come home whenever I wanted. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It was a tactical plan.
Wow. And I remember those nights. Yeah, I had to be. I remember back in the days, during summer holidays, it was 8:30. Then my nan, because it was still light outside, my nan would be like, okay, 9 o'clock, but your cousin can come in at 10, at 10:30. And I'll be like, how comes the guys get to stay out late? And it would just be like, and I used to hate it because everybody, when it was 9 o'clock, like, it's weird because I had a friend that had to be in at 6 o'clock, and I was like, your dad's actually taking the piss with your life. Like, fam, 6 o'clock when it's still bright outside. But she was home by 6. And then, like, then after 6 it would be my turn, so everybody would count down during summer, and they'd be like, oh, Nastasia, it's like 5 to 9 now, it's your turn to go home. It's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, yo.
You know, so, think about that, yeah. I know we're going off on a tangent right now, yeah, but I don't have kids or whatever, but I'm just thinking about, when you grow up, when you're like 12, 11...
Can I just say you are grown?
All right, cool.
I'm sorry, I got jokes today. My jokes are so lame as well. Go on.
It's all good. When you're 12, 11, and then then you jump a couple of years to like 13. In your head, you're grown,
Yeah. You think you're master of the world.
Do you know what I mean? So like when your parents are telling you stuff like, be home by 9, be home like 8, it's like
fam.
You think you know everything.
Yeah, you think you know everything, and you're paying the bills. Like, to the point, But if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind going back to being like 13.
13.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it, Like sometimes, like this adult in life, is not what it makes out to be. It's
what
not.
What year is year 10? 15.
Year 10 is like 14, 15.
I'll go back to year 10. Year 10 was cool. Yeah. I had a lot of friends on like the year above. Yeah. And I had friends in my year. Year 10 was mad cool.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to being a teenager, sometime.
No responsibilities.
But in talking about drinks, I just remembered another one. Do you remember Baby Sham?
With the deer?
Yeah.
I didn't really like it, but I remember it though. That's
if you were drinking Baby Sham, you were the shit. All I remember is that if you had a bottle of Baby Sham, you were the shit. Like Baby Sham was like the prosecco of like the 90s. It was mad. It was the prosecco of the 90s. Crazy. And Lambrini. Now Lambrini is like dirt cheap, but back in the day, let me tell you, Lambrini, if you were holding a bottle of Lambrini or Baby Sham, you were the shit. It's mad how times have changed, isn't it?
Even, what's that blue drink called? this is after that, but like Alizé. Do you remember Alizé?
Ah, yes.
Everybody
Alizé. Yeah, Alizé was like the is it like was it like the Ciroc?
I
of
think
the time?
yeah.
I would say, yeah, I'd say like Alizé was like the Ciroc of the 90s. So if you were holding a bottle of Alizé, you were a million. Like, boy, you had bags in it. You had bags. That's how crazy it was. It's like going to one of those Jamaican parties where the guys are wearing all white and holding Alizé.
You're mocking. You're actually taking a piss.
What? I love those raves. I'm laughing, but listen, but you're laughing with me. But like, well, I'm not mocking it. It's true though. Like, remember back in the day going to like a house party and you got that one guy in all white and he's holding a bottle of Alizé. You know what I'm talking about. Or
You know,
you're laughing because that guy could have been you.
Not at all. Not at all. Them days there, yeah, I was like the crazy mad mosh guy.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be head to toe in like crazy colors.
You see, there you go.
I was the
there you go.
shit.
So what? I'm not lying.
Mad mosh Pradas. I thought I was the guy.
Like, come on, like, I'm not even gonna lie. Growing up in the 90s was just like, just one of the best experiences ever. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that this millennial generation isn't as cool, but let me tell you, the 90s were like the 90s was like an R&B video. For me, like, the 90s had the best soundtracks. Like, when I think of the 90s, yeah, I think of TLC. I can tell, like, you know, there's certain memories. I remember when Genuine Pony came out. I remember when Aaliyah was hitting 4-page letter. Like, all of that kind of shit. Like, you actually had to listen to the radio to know the latest tunes coming out. Like, crazy, innit? Whereas now, you know, you just go into Instagram and Champagne Puppy has told you that my new Drake song is coming out. Is already streaming. It's crazy how times change, but like, I just think the 90s was just, and I think 90s was just like a boom time to grow up. It's like we actually physically played out together and created like these mad communities. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Like, sorry, this whole show has gone off in a tangent, but we're gonna bring it straight back. But it's very imperative we talk about the 90s.
I was just giggling to myself because when you're talking about like Genuine and Pony and stuff, like, so my guy, he had like like a CD that he made like back to back of like the slow jams, right? But this was the ultimate CD. So like you had a link, you had a date, you put on that CD.
That's what I'm talking about. It's
And then,
them times there where you only brought out your you brought out certain mix CDs for certain occasions. You know what I mean? Like, so like the 90s birthed a lot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a happy 90s baby. If I had a choice though, I'm not even gonna lie, I think I would have wanted to be I would have wanted to be a teenager during the 70s.
70s.
Honestly, like, I think the 70s is another era. 70s is like, it birthed the 90s, innit? It came through the 70s and like 80s birthed the 90s, what we grew up in. But if I could really turn back the time, if you said, Natasha, what era would you want to grow up in? Like, I would have wanted to grow up like end of like 70s into the 80s. So, because that era was the Earth, Wind and Fire era. The fashion was fire, the music was fire. Like, the slow jams were completely different. The slow jams was like, tonight we're making a baby.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, whereas the 90s was like, we're gonna make a baby, but we may not make a baby. But definitely, you know, the parties were different, you know. Like, I don't know, like, the 70s and 80s for me were just like, you know, some of the dopest era, like, and some of my favorite bands, like, were in that generation as well. Like, and I still listen to their music now. Like, tracks came out yesterday.
So I'd agree with you on like fashion and like some of our culture.
Yeah.
Like, there's some real pinnacle moments. The only thing for me though is I'm not trying to deal with 70s racism.
Okay, yeah. When you talk about that kind of stuff, like, the racism was at an all-time high. But let's be honest.
When did the Rodney King thing happen?
I don't know. I don't really. I haven't actually. I need to watch that story properly, and probably people are like, "How can you not be clued up on the Rodney King thing?" I am, but there's loads of documentaries on it. But I really want to watch one. I'm not gonna lie, the racism back in them days weren't something that I wouldn't want to.
Oh, it's 91.
I wouldn't want to deal with, but if I'm being honest, the racism now is just it's birthed a different kind of racism in this kind of era. So for me, when especially what's been happening in the media with the whole Meghan and Harry situation, I mean, when I've had loads of commentary saying it's not racism, it's just like, babes, let's call it what it is, isn't it? If you want to be ignorant, but it's full out live racism. But it's just birthed in a different way. So for me, the way racism is translated into this millennial era is people don't necessarily turn around and go, "Hey, you nigger." They turn around and it's like, "Oh, we can't give you this job because you're overqualified and we found someone else that's more suited for the position." When you see the person that they're giving it to, the person is less qualified, she ain't even hitting the marks like you do, or people don't give you, your appraisals are very like, "Oh, you don't smile a lot, you don't integrate." It's passive aggressive. That's what I find.
I read something on Twitter. I don't remember. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly. Guy, bunch of friends. I think he was the one black guy. His friends who were white. They all went to like a careers advisor. The careers advisor to the other guys recommended them for some specific role. I think they were all doing the same course. Yeah. But for him, even though he was either getting similar grades or he had better grades or something along those lines, the careers advisor said, "Oh no, this would be too much of a challenge for you. Don't, there you go." Do it.
And that's how racism is portrayed in this millennial era. That we are still we're overlooked, but we're told, "Oh, next time it's gonna be your turn." Everybody's telling me next time it's gonna be my turn. It's never gonna be my turn because you're always gonna pick the person that the fairer skin. The fairer skin, the fairer hair, because my hair is too problematic,
So I touched on this briefly before. I didn't dive into it because I know it's a minefield, right? But
racism is like one of those shows where we need to really unfold, but we've kind of touched on it.
Because my brief opinion on it, and again, that brief, I won't go too much into it. I just think that it's all down to money, personally. And the more money we have, it's almost like how we buy ourselves out of racism, in the fact that if you don't need no one, if you become the go-to for loans, so you own the banks, you own all the institutions, all that kind of stuff. It's like if people have to approach you, then it starts the process. I'm not saying it's going to do it overnight, but I think that becoming a bit more independent financially and all that kind of stuff, it's part of the stepping stones towards it.
Very, very true.
But we digress. Hey, let's get into the mains of the show.
Mains of the show. The mains in the show, actually, we're going to link it to what we were talking about in our brief intro, and that was kind of like the starter. Can we make that the starter? Or what is the starter today?
The starter isn't that all? That's what we
did the hour starter. So the mains are linking back to what we're talking about, about food and restaurants and street food. So today's mains and moving forward in 2020 is all about table etiquette, table manners, table etiquette. And I really wanted to touch on this topic for a few reasons. One of the main reasons is we go out to eat a lot. Well, we try to go out and eat a lot, and eating is becoming it's becoming a very often people do it so much these days. People hardly cook, and when I say people hardly cook, it's restaurants is a big thing. It's the new clubbing. Going to a restaurant is the new club. Kind of, let's go out to eat, let's go out to these trendy places, let's go out to these Michelin star restaurants. But when we're in these Michelin star restaurants, how many of us actually have great table etiquette?
That's true. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. How many of us have great table etiquette, and what are the table manners that we observe? And I will tell you this one thing. One of the things that I actually like, it actually is becoming quite jarring to me, I think the older I get, is people using their phones at the table.
What, as in like you're eating with someone and they're using their phone?
We're at a restaurant and you're all you're doing is Instagramming your food, and you're not eating the food, but you're busy. I'm having a great time. And you know what? It's like the worst. And I want to say this, actually, even though I took shots, actually, and it's one of the main irritations that I have when I go to shows and I go to restaurants, right? Shows, I'm not even going to lie. Yesterday, I was very, very impressed with the audience, because I thought the audience were all going to, as soon as they came on stage, like, lift up their phone. I have to say I probably did that a few times, because one of the house rules was take as many pictures, tag us on Instagram, because, you know, they want they want exposure, basically. But I want to say I was very, very impressed with the crowd, because, like, it wasn't a sea of phones that went up as soon as they came on. People were actually present. When I say present, people were actually in the moment experiencing the show. And when I say this is, I went to Summer Walker's show earlier on, late last year. And let me tell you, as soon as she came on stage, everybody had their phones up and I couldn't see the stage anymore. And I had to actually watch the concert through people's phones. And that was my pet hate. And like, it really distressed me. And I turned to my sister and I was just like, this is like the most irritating thing, because nobody's really present. Everybody's so focused on recording it. How often are you going to go back to that recording? Because the sound quality is shit. Let's be honest. The sound quality is going to be shit. Yeah. And that's what I didn't get. But one thing I was really impressed with yesterday's show was the how present that people were in the moment, that we were actually engaging with all of the jokes. Because when you're having such a good time, you don't have time to lift up your phone and record stuff. But in a dinner setting, one of the things I hate is phones at the table. And today, sorry, excuse me, I had my sister around for brunch, and all she was doing was on her phone, to the point where I had to like grab her phone and put it to the side and say, eat your food and enjoy this moment, savor the food, enjoy what you're eating, because focus and be present to what you're eating. Because if you're on your phone, you're not engaged. Like, Snapchat's always going to be there. Them videos that you're so quick to want to see, they're still going to be there in 5 minutes time. Calm down and be present. And she took away her phone and we had a really lovely brunch.
So I'm from different school of thought, I guess, which will make this interesting. I kind of like the whole documenting my food. Or like if I go to an event, I do like to like take out my camera or my phone and do a bit of recording. I do like, whether it's 6 months or a year, to look back and be like, oh wow, just before we started, I was just deleting some footage off my camera just to make space, and I saw some stuff and I was like, oh wow, I remember that we went to, and it's just something that's nice to have. I'm
not saying that I don't like the aspects of people documenting their food. I don't like the consistency. They make it the priority instead of actually enjoying the meal. I document, when I go out, I do take a couple of snaps to begin with of what I'm eating, post it up, but I'm not on my phone consistently throughout the meal. And I've seen people I've gone out with people who are consistently on their phone. It's just like, what are you here? Are you just here because you wanted more footage for people on Insta, for your followers, or are you here because you actually want to enjoy the meal? And I'm from the old school train of thought that when you're when you're having like a bougie dinner or wherever you are, like, I like to have the experience. I like to experience the food in full, whether I take a picture of it or not. What lingers with me is the taste. And that's the thing that will get me coming back. Yes, I know you keeping a picture and go, oh yeah, that food was cool. But really for me, it's that whole experience, the whole vibe of the place, the mood. Was the service on point? You know, did we have fun? Was everything on my plate delicious? Those are the memories that I want to take back. I just don't like people like with their phones at the table and then, you know, people are messaging you and you're messaging them. Enjoy the people around you, right? Because that you're not going to get again. you know, and if you do get it again, it's gonna be different food. It's gonna be in a different place, and that's like I'm quite old school with that. And like even at Christmas, I remember we had our phones at the table. My mum was like, "No phones at the table," and like she made us disperse. And you know what? We ended up having such a good conversation that nearly turned into arguments because it was more about politics. But we had such a good, it was so engaging for everybody at the table, different age groups as well, different kind, you know, you've got my sisters who are twins, they're Generation Z, they're millennials, Generation Z. Then I've got me, the 80s baby. Then you've got my sister who was 90s baby, and she's a bit, you know, she gets the millennial Generation Z. I'm just like generation, and I'm over you guys. Like, no, I think they're very tactical. I love the new generation, very savvy in what they do. But it was great to have that communication. It was great to be engaging. And from that whole dinner that me and my mum sent, I mean, I do have pictures of the food, but I can tell you the experience that we had word for word. I don't need to show you the pictures, but if I can explain and describe the experience that we had with the food, I know that you'd want to come.
So as I'm hearing you speak, what starts to open up as, I guess, an interesting debate is the idea of etiquette, and then you can add your 2 cents, right? The idea of etiquette is, you know, to, I guess, presuppose some rules that everybody can enjoy and experience, whether that's a food or an event, and feel happy at the end of it. What I think is interesting about that sentence, though, is that because me personally, I don't like to impose my happiness on someone. Yeah. What I mean by that is that I can see perhaps 2 old people who go to dinner. Maybe they don't like each other. Maybe they're not in love. They're not together no more, but they're going out, or the family members that, you know, don't really know how to communicate. They don't share any interest, but they do want to do the right thing, if you like, and spend time together. But their way of enjoying a day out is to go eat dinner, but yet they're still going to be on their phones. I just feel that I can't impose what they should deem as happiness. If that's what they like, then fair enough. But what's interesting about the etiquette thing is that it means that everybody has to agree on it. So, for example, that couple there, for them, that's cool. They do their thing, right? And then, but for somebody else, that's like, oh no, that's really bad etiquette. Like, for example, speaking of like food and etiquette, right? I've got this thing, right? I won't call out the person, right? When you go to somebody's house and they invite you in and they offer you some food or whatever, right? Generally, this is me, right? Generally, even if I really don't like the food, I might generally try to eat it and finish it, and to the best of my ability, right? I won't cuss out the food. I won't tell the person that, hey, no, I don't really like this, or like, do you know what I mean? Just out of, like, that's just a bit of etiquette. But I'm in there with a friend, I don't think they'll listen, that will like, do you know what I mean? But that's,
I mean, for me, that's really bad etiquette. Like,
but see, what's interesting, in his world, similar to like the old people, maybe that's not. Maybe being just blunt, honest is. But it's interesting. That's what I think is interesting about etiquette, because it's like, what do you find? Because then when you get into that, you step into different cultures. For example, what's etiquette here might not be etiquette in the States. For example, like when you talk about the tipping culture, and things like that. It's like, do you know certain cultural nuances, the things that you kind of do before you step into someone's house, or, you know, when you go to your friend's house, do you know, what do you do? Like, and that determines whether it's right or wrong, and things like that.
Okay, so my thing about like table etiquette, and one of my favorite things to do is, I haven't done it in years, but one of my things to do before I started baking full time was dinner parties. Okay. So I used to host, like, every now and again, I used to message different friends. There's some people who came to every single one. There's some people that didn't come to every single one. But I like to get friends together and just eat good food. And this wasn't kind of like, oh, you guys have to pay me. That's just what I like to do, spending time with people. Like, because I'm not going to host a house party. I've done so, but it's just too much work. Like, house parties is too much work. But I love kind of just getting a small group of people, cooking for them, and just like really just eating cake, having great conversation, and getting my friends. That's the way I used to get my friends together anyway. back in the day, mobile phones wasn't like the highlight. It's the era of when mobile phones started, you know, but not everybody had a phone, you know. But one of the things that we used to do is no phones at the table, because we need to engage. Everybody needs to be engaged in the conversation. One of my people would say I was extreme with this. Like, I would set the table first, and I'd put all the food on the table, and until everybody's seated at the table, nobody is like dishing up their plates. So everybody has to be seated. All the food has to be on the table before people dish up their food. And then once everybody's seated, like, we can dish, you know, everybody can dish up their own food and blah, 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 blah. And I would make enough for there to be a little bit left over, but portion it well, you know what I mean? And so I had simple, like, dinner rules, like, but I think just generally people know that there wouldn't be any slouch. I wouldn't say to people, no slouching, but I think people, like, are very aware that slouching at the table is not a good look. I mean, how people eat, I'm not bothered about, kind of thing, as long as you're not doing spitfire amongst all of the other.
Spitfire, like,
as in, like, just spitting out, like, eating with your mouth open and spitting out.
So say it, don't pray. Say it, don't spray it.
Yeah. I'm unlike my mother, who, when she sets the table, she's got about 3-4 forks. She got crockery, but there's like, she got the whole proper layout. So she's got the salad, meat, fish, whatever, all the forks in the world. Like, I'm not like that kind of thing. It's just like one fork, you know, dessert fork, you know, whatever cutlery I have, depending on what we're eating. But I'm very, very simple with my layout. Yeah, but my general rule is, like, no phones at the table, because it's all about being present in the moment and really enjoying the food that's at the table. Yes, you can take pictures of it, like, but we're not trying to have phones at the table. It's just like, I don't have that rule, like, oh, put your phones in a bowl and I'm going to dash it, whoever's phone. I know there's now people who say, like, oh, let's put our phones in a bowl. Whoever's phone rings first, yeah, they have to pay for the meal or whatever, like that, stuff like that. And
okay, cool.
I've heard that rule, like, quite a few people do that rule amongst their friends, because I just find that when you're just more engaged with what's happening in the online world or in the internet world, and not present in the actual, you miss out on a lot of good moments with people. And that's my thing. Like I have dinner rules because I want people to be present in this time so they enjoy the experience. When you're not present in this time and more concerned about what's going on social media, what's going on social media is always going to be there, because, like, there's a 24-hour time lapse, or there's a forever time. It's always going to be captured and stuck in the net. But that time that you have with your friends or family or people that you really enjoy, that doesn't come too often, because we live such busy lives, and by the time we cross paths, it's like crazy. And I remember when I started getting into that habit where I go out with friends and I'll be stuck on my phone and they'll be like, Natasha, like, you're not even, like, present, like, what did I just say? And you'll be like, oh, sorry, I was looking at my email. Now these days, like, when I go out with friends, my phone is away. I want to be fully present for that person. So I'm engaging with them and I'm hearing what they're saying. And if they need my advice, I can give it to them. I don't actually give advice. I just give scenarios, and I'm just like, do what you need to do, boo. But I just want to be present. And I think being present in the moment is so much more important than documenting your food. Because if I think about it, growing up back in the day, like we were saying, linking up with all we were talking about before, growing up in the 90s, you didn't have ways to, you know, cameras were like, if you had a disposable camera, but not everybody had a camera, right? You know what I mean? Do
you wish, though, that you could have documented some of those memories?
There's some moments that I definitely felt I wish I had a camcorder to document, like, times when we went on holiday and stuff like that. I really, really wish. But I would say that my nan had camera, like, we had a family camera. So my nan, we've got loads of photographs of, like, just growing up and all the places that we went, or we bought disposable cameras and got them processed and all of that stuff. Yes, I do. But even now, I think the best documentation I have is my memory. And the memories that I have, let me tell you, when you're telling, it becomes an epic moment when when we get together as a family, and me and my mum and my sister are telling my twin sisters about like trips that we used to take when they weren't when they weren't even like an embryo. You know what I mean? When there weren't even a thought in my mum's mind. You know what I mean? And when we explain it to them, I think the stories that we tell, they have their own visual. Then their imagination grows and they have their own visuals. And I think that's the beauty of storytelling, that it widens the imagination. And that's one thing I love. And that's why I feel like I am that. I do have sometimes I have like an old school approach to some things, because for me, without storytelling, I don't think I would have such a vast imagination. And I think for me, my imagination is so vast due to the fact of the storytelling. My nan she didn't document, like she doesn't have a lot of photos of her mother or her grandmother, but the stories that she has and the the way she sets the scene, and she says, imagine that, you have this tree and da, da, da. I'm starting to make those my imagination starts running. So for me, like the best documentation sometimes is the memory and the feeling, because when I talk about times I went to the seaside, I start getting I remember the smell of the seaside and all of this, and it conjures up memories. But also for me, that helps me in my work as being a creative, because I can create something just from the feelings that I'm getting and all my senses. But that's why, in short, I like to have, when I have my dinner parties, I like people to have the experience and not worry too much about, do I have a picture? Yes, we can take pictures afterwards and stuff, but let's enjoy the time, because like these are the times that we don't often get. And I want people to expand their horizons and really be present in their imagination.
So I want to touch on two types of etiquette, right? The first one, to lead on from what we're speaking about, like phones and stuff, right?
Yeah. I think phones is a big one for me. That's why I put it out. Like, that's why I started with that one first. So
when I think about it, I think that for me, the whole phone thing, because to be honest, generally it doesn't really irritate me. Okay. But just thinking about it more, it depends who I'm with, right? So what I mean by that is like, if I'm having a meeting, if I'm having a date, or seeing a friend I haven't seen for a while, family member I haven't seen for a while, generally, I put my phone on the table, I turn it over, it's on discreet, vibrate, stuff like that, right? I might take a couple photos, but generally, like, it's to one side, right? But, like, if I'm with my guys, who I see, like, daily, regular, and we're all on our phone, we're eating, we're there, we're present, but we're not, because we're on our phone, that doesn't so much bother me. Do you know what I mean? I realize when I'm thinking about it, as I'm thinking now, I guess I don't have...
It depends on the scenario.
Yeah. But while I'm saying that, I don't have, I guess, friends that I see like that, because I'm just too busy to see daily, like, I don't know, my gym friends who I might go eat with later. I'm just like I don't have friends that I see daily like that anymore. But if I did, like, I just remember back when we were all on our phones and sort of stuff, like, it's cool. We might get on the phone later again. Like, I might speak to that person later. Like, it's cool. That kind of thing. Now, what I can't work with is the eating with your mouth open, right? So it's the one where it's like, I can, like, look, you can eat and talk, because I do it, all right? But there's certain people that have food in mouth,
when they smack their gums. I've been told that I smack my gums when I eat, but I've never noticed it myself. We've been out to eat. Do I do that?
Nah, it's not to the irritating point. So, nah. No. Okay. So, yeah. Because there's people that literally eat like Mr. Twit. Food's flying out their mouth. Right? It's true. Food's flying out their mouth. And then it's just like... And it's just like...
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you. Like, that kind of etiquette, I actually I don't like. Like, people eating with their mouth open, people kind of just like, sloppy eating is something...
Double dipping.
Sloppy eating is just not what I like to see.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the reason why I never actually wanted to know this person, I didn't really want to do a second date again with this person, it was all down to his table etiquette and the way he came across. Like, I wouldn't say I'm to that standard where, like, if you use the wrong fork, I don't want to, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you used the wrong fork. No. It was, when I say his etiquette, it was, I remember this so well because whenever I go on a date in a restaurant with someone, it's like, I have this image, I know what bad etiquette is. And if this person is doing what this guy is doing, I'm just like, it's a no, fam. I can't take you anywhere. And I'm not saying that, like, there are times that somebody has pulled me up on my etiquette and I haven't even noticed that I was doing it, but that guy was just an arsehole anyway. But anyway, let's talk about this guy, right? So we go to this sushi place. It was a really nice sushi place in Northwest London. Mm-hmm. Was it Northwest London? It was like Golders Green side. That's Yeah. Like up there, right? And it's a really nice sushi place. And we get into the restaurant and it's like one of those booths. So I sit on the comfy sofa side and he's sitting on the outer side. And he sits down in his chair and he's just like... And I'm like, okay. And he sat like this for the whole dinner. That wasn't just the worst thing, right? Okay. The worst thing is when the sushi now comes, yeah... Like, so we're talking and he's all this slouch position and he's quite animated as well. And we're talking and he's just telling me how much money he wants to make in the world. And his mindset is about being a millionaire. Like, he don't like no poor lifestyle. And I was like, okay, cool. Okay. And for me, it's kind of just a bit like, I want to make Diddy money too. Yeah. I'm not saying, but aside from money, when I die, I'm not taking money with me. The money's staying in this world. When I go to the gates of... If God charges me when I get to the gates of heaven, I'm going to tell him, like, yo, dude, it's lit. Like, I can't afford this. I'm going to hell, and it's going to be one big party in hell. That's the real thing. But I feel like money is just, like, something it's a currency for here in the human flesh. Like, but aside from that, I feel like there are other things aside from money that money can't buy and that are important to me. And we didn't click on that side. So I was like, red flag, cool. This date is just going to end. We don't have the same life ambitions. We have the same money ambitions, but not life. And then we ordered, and then it was when the lady, the waitress came and then she was asking us what we'd like. He took the menu and it was just like, this one. I don't even know what that is. Like, and it was his mannerisms in talking to the waitress. I was just like, fam, like, this is the person that's going to bring us our food. Yeah. Don't talk to her like that before she starts spitting in our food. So I was just a bit like, this is not good.
Are you embarrassed?
You know what? I felt embarrassed because that's the person that I was with. If it was a group of friends, I'm not embarrassed for you. That's you on your own. But I had to take that embarrassment because she was looking at me too. And I'm just like, if you're looking at me, you're must thinking that this shit is serious between us. And I was just like, this is not my husband. It was awkward.
Okay.
And then when I came to ordering, I ordered what I want. And obviously you can tell the difference between the two people, because the thing is, like, there's a reason why, like, in some restaurants they have numbers by the side of, like, the items, because if you can't pronounce it, you can just say number 38. But when you're going, this one, what is that? Like, can you describe that? Like, and I was just like, fam, like, in my head I was just like, this is not presentable. Okay. You're not presenting the best side of you right about now. And I'm not saying that in dates, in your first date, you have to bring your A game. You know, slip-ups will happen, but that's why, you know, everybody's human. You know, we have to see the funny side in it. And then he went on, and then obviously she goes away, and I'm in my head, I'm just like, this is mad awkward. Like, you're still slouched in your chair, and he's still in this kind of like position, and I'm just like, why can't you just sit up straight? Like, this is a time when I'm just like, I need to see you sit up straight. I need to see, like, you present yourself well. Anyway, Then the food comes, and personally, I will tell you this. I can't use chopsticks for the life of me. I practice and practice, even in my house. It's just something that I don't do. I can just about use them, but not very well. But I'll have a go. You know what I mean? So the food comes, and it's sushi. And I know that, Stasha don't do chopsticks. So I've just said to her, and then she's laid out the food on the table. And then before she's even put the food down on the table, my man is already picking with his hands and throwing it in his mouth. And then he's starting to say, what is so special about this sushi? Just picking with his hands and throwing them in his mouth. And I'm just like, oh, God. Like, I don't mind people eating sushi with their hands, but in an eloquent way. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I've done it before where I just, like, pick and just be eloquent about it.
Was this place posh?
It was. It was. Okay. It was quite. It wasn't Michelin star, but it was quite an upscale sushi place. It was really popular because it was quite full as well. And I'd been here before, and that's why I suggested we go to the sushi place. And he just started picking the sushi with his hands and like just double dipping in the soy sauce. And I've asked for fork, but then she's also told me that they've got the flat sushi picks, like the flat fork. They're like twigs, and you lock them together, and you can use them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like easy. They're like kids style chopsticks. Yeah, sure. Like really easy to use. So she's offered me those, and I've been like, yeah, cool. And then I started using it, and then he's just like, but why don't you just eat with your hands? Like, why are you embarrassed for? Just eat with your hands. And I'm just like, dude, like we're in like quite an upscale restaurant, like. I don't mind using my hands, but the way you're using them and the way you're sitting there just chewing with your mouth open. And he was talking, chewing with his mouth open, just throwing back the sushi like it was like, he was eating it like it was like a piece of like plantain or suya. You know what I mean? And I was just like, this is not the one. Like, I can't go anywhere with you, because if I'm going out with you and this is how you're eating now, like what if we're in Mayfair? This is the same attitude that you're going to have. Like, and... the date just went it was really bad due to his etiquette. And I like, even when I close my eyes, I have flashbacks. And I remember my friend asking me the next day, what was the date? And I was just like, oh God, like I can't go out with him again, because it was just like awful. And the way he was eating, and she was like, oh, Natasha, don't worry about but relax, you're being too picky. And I was just like, in my head, at that moment when my friend said I was being too picky, I did think, oh, maybe I was being a bit too picky. But at the same time, I do have standards, and therefore those were one of the standards that I knew I couldn't go out with him to eat again. We could probably do a Nando's, because I wouldn't care how you're eating in Nando's. But at the same time, I do care about how you're eating in Nando's, because anywhere, like, that's just bad. It's just like his table manners were just literally, there was no table manners.
You know, I was actually just about to ask you about Nando's. You kind of read my mind, because of like, I've been on a date and I've tried to do the whole knife and fork, and then I've been like, I've just had to say to the girl, you know what, I'm diving in my hands, because this is long, you know. I
mean, I don't, like I said, I don't mind people eating with their hands when we're in a restaurant. But if you're eating with your hands and you're just throwing the food, you know what I mean? When you're tearing the chicken and it's just, it's like you're just throwing it up in the air. That shit is not eloquent. You know what I mean? There are restaurants where you particularly go to, like, if you go to a shrimp restaurant and, like, you have to, like, Trap Kitchen, for example, right? Where you have to break the crab's legs and rip it open. That's a hand thing that you can't help that. They are designed to be messy. I've been to restaurants where they give you a little bowl of water to wash your hands in, because it's about eating with your hands. But if we're in a quite an upscale place and you know there's knife and fork to be used, yeah, like, fam, like, this is not the way this is first date representation of yourself. My next thing is, like, we're not going to go on another date because I can't take the way you eat.
So what's interesting about what you just said is to go back to what I said earlier about culture, whatever. When he's maybe around his peers, you know, that's the way that they eat. They slouch.
I mean, relax, cool. But like, if we were at a dinner table, I do expect you to sit up and not slouch. Like even your worst rapper wouldn't do that in a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Why does it have to be rapper? Like,
I don't know. I just used an example of a rapper. Like, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, let's even erase the rapper. I just don't know. Like, I just don't see how you slouching and not, you know, picking with your hands and not waiting for the waitress to put down all of the food so you can dish up your food and just start munching, and it's just you're munching with your mouth open and food is flying. I can see rice pieces going left, right, center, and you're still expecting me. And then you say, and at I think the worst thing out of the whole day is like he said he had a really great time, and I was just like, me and you were on 2 different dates.
Speaking of dates, which is, I think, interesting about this etiquette thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's etiquette for, on a first date, for the lady to offer to pay?
I don't really care about that shit, to be quite fair, because you're both on the date, you're both going to eat the food, so somebody's got to pay.
So which way are you swinging then?
I think, you know what, like, I have controversial views on this, right?
Okay.
I mean, on a first date, I've been on, I mean, to be quite fair, I have been on a first date and we went 50-50 on it. But I actually didn't mind going 50-50 on it because we had discussed it before. And if I'm being honest, like, it was one of those kind of, I don't know, with me on dates, like, if we're going out and the guy's taking me out and he says, like, he's going to get the bill, cool. Yeah. And I think I'm not sure, is it a discussion that I've had with guys before we've been on a date that he's going to pick up the bill? I don't know, because it's a hard one. You know what? Thinking about all of the dates that I've been on, right? There are dates that I've been on and the guy has just been like, he puts his card down and is just like, I'm taking you out. Boom, I'm going to pay for it.
Right at the beginning?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Then I've been on dates where I said, like, one date that I went on, I actually paid 50-50 because it's a discussion that we had. And then I was happy to pay 50-50 because, to be quite fair, it was an experience for both of us.
Okay.
And it was a first date, and it was kind of just like, we both want to be here. You're not really my boyfriend, and I have no expectations of you. I just want to get to know you. It was more like, for me, I'm getting to know you kind of thing. But if we do get to that level, fam, you're gone, not all the time picking up the bill, but yeah. And I think what it is on a first date, I don't mind paying 50-50 because I'm also there to get to know the person.
Sure.
And I think it's one of those things that after the first date, I may never see you again. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I get it when guys, there's a part of me, and I'm not in support of this, guys. I'm just saying that on a first date, when a man is picking up the full bill and you fully well know that you're not going to see this person again, it kind of, that man is picking up, our expectations in society that he fully picks up the bill, and we don't care the fact that he's got to be out of pocket. But at the same time, what I'm going to also say to you is you shouldn't be taking girls out on dates if you know you can't afford it. If you know that you're going to be put out by you going on this date, you shouldn't be dating at all. And why I'm going to say that is because, yes, you understand society's levels of the girl always expects you to pay for everything. So why are you going to take a girl out and then you're going to pay for the bill and nothing happens, so you're going to be upset that you didn't get the girl, you just took her out and she had a free meal? You can't be upset about that, babes. You cannot be upset about that. And it's not me being bad mind saying that if you can't. I'm saying that if you know going out on that date, it's like, for me, if I know that going out with my group of friends is going to put me out, I'm not going to go and do enjoyment, because that's putting me out. So I'm not saying that don't capture the girl of your dreams. Just do something reasonable within your budget. That's a better way to put it. Do something that you know that's not going to put you out. And I'm not against women going 50-50 on the first date, because you're both there, you're both doing enjoyment, you're both going to eat the meal. When you get to that stage of boyfriend and girlfriend and husband and wifey, then you can put it on your man, because you know that there's security. But if you don't know, okay, cool, just go the 50-50 route. I don't mind about paying 50. I don't mind paying for my own way being there. You know what I mean? I don't mind, but yes, there's dates that I've been on where I've not touched a penny in my pocket and I've had a good time. Has that made me love the guy more? No, because sometimes he does turn out to be a dickhead. So it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, like, obviously society has, the patriarchy in society is that if a guy's taking a girl out, that the guy must pick up the bill.
So
how do you feel about that? Listen, bro. What do you like? And funny enough, I don't watch Love Island, but I heard what the Mike character, I was going to say the Mike character, that what Mike said on Love Island.
I did. So I saw something on Twitter and it said typical something in the other, but I didn't hear it.
Basically, he said that there was one girl that he was talking to or seeing. She asked him out. So she said, "Do you want to go to this restaurant?" And he was like, "Yeah, I don't mind. But when we get there, you are paying because you're asking me out." Mm. And they went to the restaurant and he ate, he did his enjoyment, and he said to her, "Pick up the bill."
Okay.
And she picked up the bill.
Okay.
And he was just, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible." I mean, I'm just like, fam, you're not even going to go halves with her. And he was just, in his opinion, because she asked to go to that expensive, she asked him out to go to that expensive restaurant. It was her date. So therefore, she picked it up.
Okay, cool. So here's my two cents on the whole thing. So number one, I agree with you that like if you can't afford to be dating right now, stay your ass at home. Like it's just the truth. Do you know what I mean? Because basically, like dating is a rabbit hole, right? You're only going to incur more expenses. Like you want to see it more often, whether that's petrol, whether that's Uber, whether that's hotel, whether that's you need to get your own place. The expenses are going to start racking up. Birthdays, what do you know what I mean? So if you can't afford to be dating, like just don't date.
You know, if your money's not right, don't look at dating. Don't look at dating as an option, because, and you know what, I don't like saying this because I feel like people should, you know what it is? Date within your means. That's what I wanted to say. That's the correct, that I feel like for me, that's a politically correct way to say it. Date within your means. So if you know you want to date a Halle Berry, and Halle Berry likes to go to Nobu and Hakkasan and all of those places, right? And all those sexy fish, get your money up so you can date the Halle Berry to take her to these places. Don't be dealing with these small fishes out here that you know that you don't really want to deal with. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
So what I'm saying is, if you know you're that type of person that you're creative with your dates, as in your dates, you can't afford to take her out, but you can afford to invite her over and cook for her and have a little romantic scenario within the four corners of your house, fam. I'm not against that. You know why? Because you're gonna work towards taking her out to do the big shit.
So my 2 cents of that, right? All of this me saying like, hey, like keep your ass at home, is for me like to be, I guess, transparent, dabbling to try and date while broke, it just doesn't work, right? Yeah. So that whole thing of like, oh yeah, I'll cook for you, is sweet, but it doesn't last. Do you know what I mean? Well,
no, to be honest, it depends on the character of the person. Of the character of the guy. If he's really serious that, yo, I really like you, but I can't afford to date you, but I'm serious about you. Like,
could you imagine a guy saying that to you?
You know what? I'm all for honesty. If you actually say to me, Natasha, I want to date you, but I'm a broke-ass guy, and I can only afford to cook for you at home, yeah?
You'll be chat to me when you get your money up.
Huh?
You'll be chat to me when you get your money up.
This is the thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's a catch-22 because once this guy gets his money up, he can start acting like new money and go off with the actual person the actual people that he wants to be with, to be with. But at the same time, I agree with you, Lasimba. Stay your ass at home if you can't afford to date. Like, I know it sounds very controversial that, oh, like, why are you saying that people who ain't got no money shouldn't be dating? It's not that I'm not saying don't date, but if you're serious about the person that you want to, you have to have that open line of communication that, yo, babes, we ain't doing, it's a McDonald's thing and a KFC thing. And even at that, sometimes you have to dip down to Bagel King sometimes. So... So if you've got that open line of communication with the person that you want to be with and they are cool with that, do your thing. Look, do your thing. But if you know that you're you want this girl or girls, you want this kind of guy, well, it's really more a guy kind of thing. But if you know the girl that you want to date, she likes doing the bougie things, and you know that if you're trying to take her out to a good sexy fish and that's going to take you, you're going to be 300-400 out of pocket and you can only do one date every 6 months, yeah, you need to really think about, you really, really need to start thinking, no, let me not date anyone. Let me get my money up and then I can go and pursue her when I've got the money up and then I can afford the lifestyle I want us both to live. Yeah,
look, I agree with that. Like, if you can only afford Nobu once every 6 months, then you have to stay in your lane. But also, look, like, dating's not cheap anymore. Like, even like a cinema date. I remember back in the day, that was the cheap date. Now, what, 40, 50 pound?
I think an average cinema trip is about 30 pounds, not 30 pounds. That's for your tickets.
That's what I mean. That's just for the food.
So an average cinema date, I think the last time I went to cinema with an ex-partner, it was about like £50, 60 pounds.
Exactly.
And then we went out to eat before the film, and it probably came up to about £70.
Do you know what I mean? So I want to touch on what you said about Mike, Love Island guy. So, like,
I think that was steep. I was just like, wow. I was like, wow.
You know what it is, right? If it's first date, right, I'm paying. 100%. I just feel that I need to pay, right? I actually went on a date with someone, and then I was actually impressed. Like, she put a card on the table. I'd never seen that before. But my whole thing with the date is that I'm going to pay, right? Yeah. Just humor me. Right? What I mean by that is when the bill comes, like, oh, how much is it? Or like, oh, let me, and like, I can do, no.
But if I'm being honest, when I've been out on first dates, I do take out my card too. And if the guy was just like, rah, like, you're ready to pay, I was ready to go halves. Like, what's the problem? I'm a working class girl. Cool. And guys have been impressed. Like, and out of that impression, they've been like, no, I take the bill.
Do you know what I mean? And look,
I'm not saying that this is a party trick, girls. Because sometimes the guy will just let you, depending on the character, he'll be like, yeah, I came out for a free meal. It's not a party trick. That is just generally who I am as a person. When I go out on first dates, I feel like I don't know if I'm going to see you for the second date. Have I been on first dates where I've been like, yeah, I'm just here to eat? I'm not going to lie, in the past, yes.
Fill your belly, huh?
I mean, funny enough, I was like in Brixton a couple of weeks ago, and some man was talking to me on the bus, and he was like, you must get stopped all the time. And I was just like, whatever. Anyway, he was talking, and he tried to give me his number, and he was like, oh, come to the Ritzy like on this day, because like my friend plays and blah blah blah. And then I thought to myself, I went home and I told my flatmate, and I was like, maybe I just save his number for when I'm hungry.
No, like I'm. So for people listening, I just raised my hand.
Honestly, I don't have that mentality anymore, and I
the
don't
thing is,
actually
though,
have
right?
time for that because it just leaves me in sticky situations. Because it's just like after you've done it once, the person expects more engagement, and I just don't have time for. That's when you're calling for problems in your life, and I don't have time for that. But she laughed. She was in fits of laughter when I said that. She was like, "Nastasha, would you do that?" And I was like, I can't say that I haven't back in the day, you know. But you know, but I've done even levels with that. Like I remember, this is a funny story actually. An ex, right? Bless his cotton socks. Like we had a really mad up and down relationship, and then one day I hadn't spoken to him in months, and one day I just texted him and I said, "Oh, I'm really hungry. Can you bring me Burger King?" I didn't think he would do it. Yeah, and this person lived in Holston, right? Holston, and this time I was living in London Bridge, so that's a good like hour plus drive. My guy came with the Burger King straight up. I mean, I'm going to tell you that was love straight, and I couldn't stop laughing. Like, and like, I just, you know, I didn't even invite him into my house. I just took the Burger King out the door and just closed the door. I don't even know if I was in talking, but it was more shit. I was actually quite shocked that he brought it, but because I felt like he had done me dirty, I was just, it was kind of just like, you do me dirty, I'm going to do you dirty, and like, yeah, it was mad. Yeah.
Okay, so
you're laughing because you're just like, Nastasha is
no, you know
red.
what? You know what though, yeah. As much as you're saying it, right? I know there's some people going to be listening and being like, "Oh, that's dark," but it's common. Like it really is. 100%. It is common that like girls will go out to eat, even to drink. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
like,
not gonna. Okay, any female listening to this podcast, any male or female listening to this podcast knows exactly what I'm talking about. Personally, I do not have guys on my line that I'm just like, food. I know that I particularly know, I remember being in like having a discussion with a set of girls, and they were like, there's some guys that they've labeled in their phone book as food.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I was just like, yo, they're just like, yeah, you know, like he's reliable. And I'm just like, yo, that's playing with a guy's heart like that. Like, yo, just for food. But this is why I think, like, this is what, for me, those kind of things have left my system, and like, it's true. I'm not gonna lie. Those things have left my system. Honestly, I'm too busy to have that kind of lifestyle.
New me.
Not even that. I've not done that for like years. And last time, this person who did this Burger King thing, this happened like nearly 10 years ago.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after that, it's beyond me now, because I can't be having people just, because I'm hungry, I'm going to call you. That's problems. Like, because then people are there catching feelings for you and you have no intention but food for them.
Yeah.
That for me, I think I've grown in morality. That shows my growth in morality. But it's you know.
So what I want to, before I lose the point, before I forget it.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to touch on what Mike said, right? Yeah. So I was saying that first date, I happily pay.
Yeah.
Right? Now, my thing is about what he said, right? Is that if a girl after the first, second, third, let's say it's the fourth date, right?
Yeah.
She now says to you, oh, she wants to take you to whatever restaurant, right? My not even issue. It's like how she approaches the date.
Ask it, yeah.
No. The date.
Oh, okay.
What I mean by that is that if she's offered to take me, yeah, chances are I will still offer to contribute. Not all, because you know I've done a few dates and she's now invited me out, right? I'll offer to contribute, right? However, right, depending on how she treats the date, and what I mean by that is that if we go there, right, and we sit down, she's doing, I want oysters, I want 5 lobsters, give me cocktails. Okay, you must be like,
you happily like let her do her thing and pay for it.
Yeah, she has to, because of she's like, so if she was decided to go to this fancy smancy whatever, and then order the biggest lobster, the biggest and then expect me to pay, like,
it wasn't my date because it wasn't. I get that. No, I'm fully with that. And some women probably be like, oh, Nastasha, but come on, if y'all ladies are screaming for equality, And I'm not, that's why I said, like, I probably slightly am a bit controversial on this, because you know, with the whole equality, I want equality for women. But when we're talking about equality, then it comes into question about dates. If you're screaming equality for that side of your life, let's scream about equality on this, because that's where it heads to. That's where the conversation will naturally graduate to, without us even opening that can of worms. You know what I mean? In terms of equality. But what you're saying, I completely understand. If we go into some big restaurant, and it's my idea that I said to you, oh, I want to go to this new, this Michelin star restaurant, and I'm doing the most by ordering the most on the menu, If I was a guy, I'd turn around and go, hey, you're paying because it was your suggestion and this is the place you wanted to come. And me particularly, I was just like, you know, but I get it that, I mean, I've suggested to go on dates with ex-partners. And funny enough, when I mean, I've paid for some places and I've been happy. I've been like, oh, I'll get this. And they've been like, no, that's cool. I'll pick it up. And I was just like, no. And sometimes I have an argument with them. I'm just like, yo, like, I will just pay for it. Like, I have no issue. And they're like, Natasha, I'm going to get it. Like, cool. And it's that kind of thing. It's like something actually my sister taught me as well, because her and her partner, sorry, I'm mentioning my sister, she doesn't know this, but I really kind of respect their aspect when it comes to the etiquette of paying. Okay. Because I remember that I was like, oh, like, I want to suggest to the person who I was dating that I really wanted to go to the show. And then she was like, why don't you buy the tickets? Because you want to go to the show. And then I was like, oh, but in my head, I'm old school values. Yeah, but I want him to pick up the tickets. And she was just like, then she said to me, well, when I'm going out with my partner, sorry, I don't want to out who her partner is. Well, when me and this person are doing stuff, sometimes I pay for the concert tickets. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, if I want to go to the concert. And she gave me an example of something that she bought. She went to, where did they go? There was a singer that he didn't know about, but she really, really loved. And she really wanted to go and see the singer. It was, the tickets were like £60, £50-60, and she bought the tickets. And I was like, oh, I thought he always bought the tickets. And she was like, him always buying these. She was like, the things that I like to do, I've introduced him to that. Now he likes going to concerts because that's something I introduced him. I was the one who initiated that by saying, I want to go to this concert, so let me buy us tickets to go so he can experience what I experience when I go to that. That's who I learned. Sharing the responsibility of doing extracurricular activities with my partner. So it's like when I wanted to go to a concert last year, I purchased the tickets and I just told him, yo, I purchased these tickets. And he was just a bit like, Natasha, why did you do that? And I was just like, I want to go to the concert with you. I didn't have an issue with paying for something like that because it was an experience. It's my experience that I was suggesting, but I wanted him to come along and experience what I experience when I go to concerts. So that's how I see it. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. Still suffering the effects of a flu. But that's who I learned that from. That if you want your partner or whoever that... First dates are very... I find them very awkward in who should pay and who shouldn't. But I come to the decision that first dates really should be an equal bout because both of you have nothing to lose. In a sense, when you pay for your own way on a date, you haven't lost anything. You know why? Because you may not see that person again. But if you enjoy the food, that's good. When a guy just picks up the bill naturally in a first date, the girl will always walk off feeling she's won because she got a free night. And to be honest, if she ain't gonna see you again, all she knows is she didn't lose anything. But if it's a 50-50 bout and you're both paying for your meals separately, both of you will have mutual respect for each other that you ain't got nothing to lose. I know a couple that go 50-50 on everything. When I say 50, apart from their wedding rings and certain nights that he did for her, when it comes to food, when it goes to going out, they've always been 50-50. And that's made their relationship to a point where nobody can say that I lost out, I did this. Because sometimes, like when you're having out, oh, I took you here and I did this for you. I didn't see it like that. For me, it's a 50-50 bout. If the first date is 50-50, you both have nothing to lose.
So I'm just like, as you're talking, I was thinking, I've never actually done this, but I'm just thinking my method, if you like, allows me the freedom to do what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
And what I mean is that I like to, when I do dates, move, right? So what I mean by that is like maybe even start in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Then you go and grab like a mason
Okay, you
somewhere.
like to do a round robin. I remember one guy did that to me, and I actually was, by the end of it, I was actually quite distressed.
Distressed? Oh, okay.
You know what it is? It's like sometimes you just expect to come out and go one place, and if I'm tired, like now you want to do round robin and go here, go there, like fam. No, but I want to hear your method.
Okay, cool.
It sounds interesting.
So no, but that's generally it. So like you might start with a coffee shop, then you go somewhere and get like your mains or somewhere, and then maybe get a dessert, and then get your coffee. What do you call it? The digestive, whatever. Is it digestive? You have a coffee afterwards? Is that
Yeah. Like
get and then maybe get that after, or go and have like a cocktail somewhere else. So you move around. Now, what I mean is that I've never exercised this, and what I mean by that is that from going to like 3 or 4 different places, at any point in time you realize that, okay, you know what, this girl's a dick, right? You can exit.
You got an exit strategy to say like, oh, after this coffee, I'm just gonna go.
I'm done. Yeah, I spent £5. You know what I mean? But I've never actually had to do that. That's what I'm saying. But I just realized and thinking that as you move around after the dinner, you might say, you know,
that's actually a good. I'm not gonna lie. Them kind of first dates there. You know, the funniest thing is when it comes to first dates and etiquette, I don't think going to a flashy restaurant should be a first date anyway.
No.
You know why? Because that's when you feel like you've lost. If you actually say, I went to this restaurant, it was mad awkward, the food was great, but I ain't seen him again. But when you do something like what you've said, like, let's go for a coffee. Cool, you go for a coffee in a nice little coffee house. Then from the coffee, you're like, oh, like you feel like, oh, maybe we should go get a bite to eat. What are you feeling? Like, let's see what's in this area. Then you move to the next place, And then after that, if after dinner you feel like, nah, I can duck out of this. This is as far as it's going. You can duck out. But then if you're like, oh, maybe like, let's go for drinks. You make a kind of, it's like you can make a coffee, like your first date could be a coffee and you've only spent £3. You know, and then, but if you're really interested in the person, you can always tell I like that, you know. I'm actually going to use that as a strategy, you know. I don't know how, but you know, like if you meet someone and they say, oh, what do you want to do? The first thing is like going for a coffee is such an easy thing because that's where you can build up a conversation. And if the conversation is dead from the coffee, you haven't wasted your time and your day. That means you can drop that person and be like, fam, baby boy, I got so much cakes to bake. See you next week.
You know, even though I'm saying this, right? Like I have my spots, right? So when you were talking about earlier about being tired and stuff, like from each individual place to the next place is no more than about 30 seconds walk to a minute. So I have my routes. So
okay, you need to jazz up those routes.
Would you jazz them up?
I need you to walk me through these routes.
I don't know.
So if you see me and Lasimba going one spot to one spot, don't worry, we're not actually on a date. He's just walking me through his spots.
But you know what it is though, because I just thought of it because when you said like, oh, it's a cheap date, some of it, like, even though we might be only going there, it's not like I'm not doing fancy smanchy.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
you're doing middle class, like, you know what, like you're doing an upper, you're going to, what do you call it,
some nice places,
you're going to a bougie coffee house, like the thing is, like, a lot of people are just like, what is Nastasha, what is your ideal first date? Damn, like, I don't know what it is capture me by dessert and baby, like, take me to a great dessert spot. Frick it, I'm not all yours for the night, but there are points to be won, innit? There are points to be won. I don't think I'm a difficult first date person. I think my difficult first date personality or persona comes out if we go to a flashy place and I just don't enjoy. I don't enjoy you, and I just enjoy I don't enjoy the company, and I just have to get through the meal really quickly because that is where it becomes awkward.
You know,
I get why guys always want to take a girl out to a fancy place for the first date because it's first impressions. Yeah. But for me, the worst thing is I've been on fancy dates as first impressions, and I've just wanted the meal to end because I'm just like, fam, I just wasted my dress, my time, like all of this getting. But if I'm just going for a coffee and I'm not feeling you, I can duck out at any time and get on with my day.
You know what works for first dates? I can't believe I'm actually saying this, yeah? But what works for first dates is fancy supper clubs.
Yes, that's true.
Because chances are they're very intimate. And chances are, if you're getting a fancy supper club, what you're paying for is probably like half the price of going to like the restaurant version of it, and it's potentially more tailored to you as well. Like there's some fancy supper clubs up there that you might pay like, I don't know, £70 or so, but like, yeah.
What's a bad first date is never take a girl to a club. No, don't do it. I remember that one guy took me to a club and I ended up talking to another guy. I swear, like, people listening to me must think like Natasha is the dread. It's like, can I even approach this girl? No, what happened was like, I actually didn't know. Okay, let me get the story straight, because people are like, how many dates have you been on? Like, this was like when I had time to... I'm not like a dating round robin. I can't, like, literally, I'm very kind of... I don't know if, as I've gotten older, I'm more fussy, but I know what I look for in a person. And I'm very particular. I wouldn't say very particular, but I have my bars in it. Like, I have levels, right? But this was just a funny one, actually, because my friend was just like, Natasha, you're just so dread. How did you end up talking to somebody else? I didn't talk to a person to take their number. No, it just happened. Okay. And this is the way it just happened, right? I didn't want to go to the club. He suggested that we go to the club. And I was like, I don't want to go to a club, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, how are you going on a date with someone to a club? Because there's going to be loud music. I can't talk to you. If we're going for dinner first, then going to a club, I can understand that. But we're not going to dinner. We're going straight into the club. And I was like, dude, in my head, these are the days where I was like raving mad, innit? So like I was in a rave like Wednesday to Sunday or Thursday to Sunday. So I'm just like, yo, when I clock eyes, just I'm sorry.
What's that? Elaborate for the people.
So we go to this club, and his personality, I don't know, this is the thing, like, he was a personality catfish. So on text message, he was like super engaging. Sure. In person, he was like, it felt like I've never spoken to this guy, and we had like really, really awkward moments. So anyway, we're in this club and we're sitting in the booth, and I'm just like, yeah, and I'm just sipping my drink, and I'm just like, and then a load of melanin walks in, and I'm just like, hey, like, I contain myself, right? And I'm just like, Natasha, don't be wide-eyed, you're here with somebody else. So okay. I literally walk in, but I lock eyes with this one person, okay. Right? And I'm still sitting at this table, but I'm still talking to this guy that I'm here on this date with. And then what he does is, like, he then says to me in a very, very awkward way, like, do you want to dance? And the song that was playing was, like, really random. It was like some pop. It was just not a song that I would dance to. And I was like, maybe on the next song, let's wait for a new. And it was like, no, I really like this song. And I was just like, oh God. Like, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hella awkward. And I thought, Natasha, save yourself from making a scene. Just dance with the person. It's not going to kill you. You're not going to die. Like, so we get up and I'm doing like my 1-2 movements, and then he tries to get close, and I'm just like, okay, this is even more awkward because I can't dance to this song and you're doing way too much for this song, and it just looks awkward. So I'm just dancing in my own world, and I look over to the bar, and then the guy who I locked eyes with, he looks at me and he starts smiling and he's laughing, and I'm just like, I start laughing, and then I think the guy then noticed that I'm laughing with somebody else, and then he looks over and I just act like boy, like, I'm still trying to do what you're doing, but like, this is mad awkward. And then he says to me, he says, oh, I'm going to go to the toilet and then I'm going to go to the bar and get another drink. Do you want another drink? And then I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So he goes off and I'm just like, oh, thank goodness, because I just hated dancing to that song. So I go and sit down. And so as I'm going to sit down, mind him, this guy's gone off. Then the guy from the bar comes over and he starts talking to me and it's just like, and then he looks at me and he's like, he comes to sit not at my table, but like at a booth next door. So he leans forward and then says to me, man, you look mad awkward. That date, are you on a date? And it looks mad awkward. And then I started laughing, and that's how the conversation started. Yeah. But it wasn't an intentional thing. Sure. And then the other guy obviously comes back we get into a conversation, we start laughing, and we just like, and then I just say, yeah, I'm here on a date. And then I was like, oh, okay, so I can't even take your number. And I said to him no, because it would be inappropriately rude. Okay. You know, so I had etiquette. I was like, no. And then the other guy comes back with the drink and he sees us talking, and then the other guy was just like, he just went, he got up and was just like, and then I was like, yeah. And he was like, who was that? And I was just like, I know the guy from the bar. And I just shrugged my shoulders. Then he must have felt awkward. Then the date went more awkward because he must have thought and I did explain to him. I was like, look, I didn't take his number or anything. He was just like, he just was wanting to talk to me, but you know, I was just being polite. And that was the end of the story. So I'm not dread like that. Like, if I'm on a date with someone else, I don't think I could be that type of girl that like takes somebody else's number on a date, you know. But yeah. That was mad. That was like an awkward date. So that's why I say never take. And it was just bizarre to me why he would take me to a club. And I remember talking to a friend about it, and they were just like, but why would he take you to a club? And I was like, I know why somebody would take me to a club for a first date. It was just awful.
I wouldn't recommend it. But the thing is, though, I'm trying my hardest to remember. I'm very, very, very sure I've had a first date at a club, but I don't remember it going pear-shaped. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. You know, yeah, it's like cinema first dates. It's like a no date because you're not really speaking.
With the cinema, I don't mind if we're doing stuff before the cinema. So if we're going to eat before, so we can have a conversation before and stuff. I've done a cinema first date, but it's been more like we've gone to have something to eat, then we've gone to a cinema, and
that's cool. But literally just hey, cinema. Then
no. That's really awkward because it's just like I ain't talking to you. I'm just watching the film.
So I agree, by the way, but is there any other, I guess, just to bring it back?
Yeah, to table etiquette. Okay, I'm going to read out some table etiquettes, actually, some table manners, and you can tell me if you agree with these table manners or not. So I just, some table manners, some table manner do's and don'ts. So these are table manner do's. Sit properly and straight in your chair. That's a yes from me.
Yep.
Talk about pleasant things. I don't know about that. I talk about everything and anything. Depending. Agree. Yeah. Place your napkin on your lap. I want to say this, actually. In recent times, I've started to do that. Because I'm just so clumsy and I see things just dropping on my lap. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, Stash, if you had the napkin down, it wouldn't reach. So, yes, I do, actually.
I do that, because especially like when you're eating like curries and stuff like that, I'm not trying to get it on my clothes.
Yeah. The next one is wait until everyone is seated before starting to eat. Yes, that's a yes for me. I'm quite strict like that. I don't like people just dipping their hands in, you know.
I'm easy. I'm not.
So before everybody sat down on a table and then one person who sat at the table starts dishing up their food, that's rude. You're just taking all the food for yourself. Calm yourself. Hungry Ben.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I remember one of my friends actually did that. Like he sat down and I hadn't sat down and he started serving. I had to slap his hand and I was like, where's your table manners? And he was like, pardon? I was like, you wait until everybody's seated. Unless I say to you, serve yourself.
So I was just thinking of like another setting of like if I went to somebody's house and the food was put on the table, I might not even touch it or start, even if there's food on the plate, I might not start until like
the host does.
The host says, yeah, all right, you know.
Yeah,
so
but it's some of my friends are hella getter. No, I'm joking. If you're listening to this, now joking.
I'm gonna clip this.
Okay, the next one is watch others or ask if you're not sure about how to eat something.
Yeah, if you don't know the food, you might ask how to eat. Is that even etiquette though? That's just a thing you do, no?
Trust me, I've seen some people do some weird shit at dinner tables, like I'm telling you. Okay. The next one is ask someone to pass the food rather than reach across the table. So yeah. So this one, like I had my sister around for brunch today. Yeah, I cooked her a nice little brunch, like full plate, waffles, pancakes, sausages, the works. You know, I do the works. Yeah. Don't worry, listen, but you're gonna come round and I'll do you
one
day. Yeah, good weekend kind of thing. And instead of her, like, then she just the maple syrup was on my right side, right? My girl is all reaching over my plate and food and grabbing the maple syrup, and she ends up spilling the maple syrup, yeah.
Did it spill on the food?
Not on the food. If it was on the food, then I wouldn't have minded. But she spilled on the table onto the floor. And she was like, oh, sorry, I'm clumsy. I'm just like, but why would you not ask me to pass you the maple syrup? I was actually going to do that for you, but you and your fast self just dropping everything. And she was just like, oh, calm down. Because she knows how I am about table manners. And that's the one thing I don't like people reaching across my food. It's the most irritating thing. I'm just like, any little bug that's on your clothes could just drop in my food.
I agree on that one. It reminds me, there's a film called Smile Orange, and basically one waiter's trying to train another waiter on like how to serve food, and he reaches across like the guy while he's trying to do it, and I won't do it in the Jamaican accent, but basically he says nose under arm BO. Yeah. So basically you don't reach across people.
I just find it's just one of the most irritating things. It's just like you're putting your arm across, fam, like. Let's just have table manners. Chew with your mouth closed.
Yeah, that's a must.
Yeah. Don't talk with your mouth full. That should be common sense, but
You know that one though, like if you're having a conversation, you've got food, you know what it is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you do it and like I want to, it's a bit much. But if you like people talking,
I can see the back of your tonsils.
Yeah. No one's trying to see all of that.
Yeah. Use a knife and fork to cut your meat.
What else is he gonna? Oh, to tear it. Can you imagine getting a steak like?
You know what I've seen?
What?
People holding the meat down and tearing it with a fork, and I've just been like, you know what? I'm not even gonna get down with you like that. But
you know what? If it's duck, I've done that. Like
because you can rip duck apart. But with meat like steak, when there's a knife.
If there's a knife available, then yeah.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I don't know. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, no?
Yeah. Say excuse me or I'm sorry if you burp.
Yeah, that's standard.
Say no thank you if you don't want a certain dish or are full.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but like...
Yeah, if someone says, oh, would you like some more? You're going to say, oh, no, thanks, I'm full.
So this depends where you are, right? So if I'm at auntie's house and she's offering, I'll say, oh, no, thank you, auntie, and you know what I mean? Yeah. But if I'm at a restaurant, chances are if they offer me something, so I'll say, I don't know if I'd say no thank you. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be that
I say polite. No thank you all the time. I'm quite aware of.
I'd like to think that's what I say, but I can't. I don't want to bullshit and say I say no thanks.
I
all the time.
think you do listen, but I've been out with you and you're very polite.
Well, you
are very polite.
Thank you.
Like
I try to
December's
be.
like very, very polite and is very. You've got good table manners and etiquette. I've been out with guys and they've just been like balls at the table, but sometimes I don't even care anymore. Sometimes I look at people and just like, Natasha, why do you even care too deep? Like, they're enjoying themselves. Leave them. But you could never bring them home to your mum. That's the problem. Because my mum's standards, like my mum's table etiquette is at such a high... sometimes I'm even like, nobody can reach your levels in it. Okay, so another one is... Say, please may I be excused before leaving the table. This is one that I'm not sure if I've ever done this, but I think I have. Like, when I get up at the table, I'm just like, oh, sorry, I just need to use... I'll probably be a bit more raw, like, oh, sorry, I need to use the toilet. And then I'm like, maybe I should have said, I'm going to the ladies. Like, I've been out with people and they're like, sorry, excuse me, I'm just going to the ladies. There's another word that they use as well.
Restroom?
Oh, no, restroom or washroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I felt like, I remember being out with someone and they said that, and I was like, Natasha, I feel like you need to adopt that.
So
instead of go toilet. It's like such a kind of like, oh.
You know what? It's funny. So for about a year, 9 months or so, I was about to say about 9 months or so, I remember I started saying, yeah, I'm just going to the restroom, but that's like an American thing, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the people I was with always used to gun me. They would be like, why don't you just say you're going to the toilet? So I eventually stopped that, but now I just say, I'll be right back. Yeah. I don't say.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's what you say, and I'm like, but where are you going?
Oh, really?
In my head, one time I was just like, but where are you going? And then I was like, oh, he's going to the toilet. Okay,
going to the gents.
Yeah. Okay. There's another one that I want to add to this, and this one really fudges me off. Like when I say this fudges me off, right? I have this one friend. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you who the friend is. I'm not going to say who the friend is. Yeah. But I got this one friend, right? And I had to tell that one friend, like, sometimes I despise coming to restaurants with you because you just don't let me eat in peace. And by that, I mean, I cannot stand when food has, like, we all order our food. Before I've even tucked into my food, why is my person reaching over and saying, you're not even asking me, can I taste yours? You're reaching over, taking what you want off my plate and eating it. And I'm just like, who are you? Like, who? That really fudges me off. Like, and I know guys hate it when girls do this. It's like, guys will order their food, right? And I used to do this to an ex-partner. He used to order his food and it used to come out looking better than mine. But I would let him eat first and then look at him and go, can I taste some? And he'd just be like, at times he would roll his eyes and be like, but sometimes I'd ask him, like, can I have a bite? And he'll be like, no, Natasha, I asked you already, like, in the shop, and you said no, so it's no. And I just have to sit in that guilt of not having my own. And he was just like, why do girls do that? And I'm just like, because I don't really want all of it. I just want a bite of it. And because you have it, I feel like I'm also entitled to it. And it's like, what makes you think you're entitled to my food? And I'm just like, I don't know. But I just want to taste what you're tasting, so I know what you're tasting, so I can decide whether I like it or not.
I can't lie. That stuff pisses me off. Because it's like you're saying, when you're ordering, like, you might ask your partner or whoever you're with, like, hey, do you want, choose whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then when your food comes, it's like, hey, it's like, oh, no. You know, so like.
Yeah. I mean, I to be honest, I'm guilty of that. But I will always ask the person first, can I taste it?
Oh, that's even standard. That has to be standard.
No, but this person who I go out to eat with, they don't ask. They reach over and take it, and whilst they're taking it, they're asking you, "Let me try some." It's like, how are you asking me, "Let me try some," when you've already taken the thing? And that pisses me off. And I actually then turn around and said, "This person, like, I actually don't like coming to eat with you because I don't appreciate this shit."
In that scenario, like, if someone's reaching over, I'm about to have a sword fight with a fork, about to knock their fork out.
Okay, that reminds me of an incident. It's true. Like, somebody's done that to me before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my ex did that to me one time, right? Like, so I was just like, I want to try some. And he was just like battling me with his fork. And I was like, hey, so I can't even try some. And he was like, not today, Natasha. And he actually just ate his food. And I just watched, and I just had to sit in myself. And that's when I learned that, Natasha, if you're somewhere and he's ordering food and you want some food, yeah, then just get the food. But when I stopped doing that, I noticed that he started offering me food. He would offer me, oh, do you want some?
You felt guilty?
No, because he always thought I was going to stop doing it. And now it's kind of like, let me ask. And if I ask and I say no, then he can eat it to himself. And so yeah.
My mom has this saying about eat and leave. Do you know what I mean? So like, rather than you not get it, just like order it, and then like, if you don't finish it, you don't finish it. But at least you got to try what you wanted.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but yeah, that etiquette is one that I actually despise, even though I've done it before. But I do it. I ask the person first, can I taste some? Mm-hmm. But this person who I go out to eat with, they're just reaching over and just eating your food, and it's just like, it ruins my experience, because I'm like, I don't want the food anymore because you've already put your dirty fork in it. Not even your dirty fault, but you know what I mean. Like, it's like you've already dug into my food. I haven't even experienced it, but I'm not trying your food anyway. And they're like, oh, you can have some of my. I don't want your food. If I wanted your food, I would have freaking ordered your food. So one of the party tricks that I used to do is I used to order the same dish as this person. So it was like, we both have the same thing. You can't eat any of my food.
You know, I'm just remembering something real stupid from school. You know, when you're in school, you do silly little things, right?
Yeah.
So on the way home, we all used to buy like chicken and chips from the chicken shop, right? For whatever reason, the chicken was sacred, meaning that you cannot share chicken. You're not allowed to.
Yeah, but how would you share chicken?
I don't know. Like, someone might break it off, but it was just...
I've seen people share chicken and it's just like the most gross thing ever because it's not pretty.
Yeah, so for that reason...
A chicken leg with a chicken leg with a thigh and a drumstick.
You can break it.
You can break it. One person has a thigh, one person... But a chicken thigh on its own, that shit is messy, B.
There you go. So what we used to do, right, is when we get our chicken and chips, right, the chips would come, and before someone says, like, oh, can I...
Oh, yeah, cough on your food, yeah. I used to do that with crisp, actually.
And even, like, with drinks, like, you might...
I would spit in my drink.
So I was going to say it was very, very similar anyway. It's backwash it. So it's like... So that way there... Sorry, I can't share it now. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, the things that we did in school, yeah. I can totally agree. Yeah. Okay, so those were the things to do. Those were table manners to do. Here's table manner don'ts. Like, the last thing I spoke about was a table manner don't. Don't be eating other people's food because it's just order your own. Unless that person says I'm sharing, just order your own. Just be satisfied with what you've ordered. Another party trick is just order the same thing as your partner or whoever you're out with, and you both have the same dish. So if it's shit, you both eat shit food, and if it's good, you both have good food. I'm the worst at restaurants because I can never decide. I just want the whole menu.
It gives you a reason to go back and try new things if you enjoyed it, that is. Yeah. And if you're having a second date.
Yeah. So table manner don'ts. Don't talk about gross things. I talk about everything. Don't ask for seconds before others have had first. That's a real one, you know. I hate people who actually ask for seconds before other people have finished eating their first meal, because why are you rushing? Where are you rushing to? Calm down. Drink water. Your throat is dry.
So, you know, my dad has this rule. It just reminded me, right? He's like, you're not allowed to count food, right? And what I mean by that is, like, you know, like if the dumplings come to the table, or like the plantain's a classic one, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure everybody gets equal. My dad would do, no, you're not allowed to count them. Just take what you want. You're not allowed to count them. I still count them, but it's just like his rule.
I get that, because it's just like, just take as much as you want. But I'm also with you that I will still count it. Like when I do my dinner party thing, if I know that I've got 10 guests, and I know I've got something like plantain, right? I'm saying 10 guests, 1 plantain per person.
One? Oh, the whole one?
Yeah.
I thought you meant one slice.
No, like a whole banana for one person.
Okay.
So technically, I'll cook 11.
Okay,
because there's always going to be your craven ones, because they're going to take a banana and a half.
Okay.
But there's also going to be the person that doesn't take as much. You know what I mean? Sure. But my thing is, like, after everybody's had their first plates, if there's leftover, I'm like, you can either have it a takeaway or you can eat it there. But I like to distribute the food equally amongst people, because I like that one craven person eating like they've never eaten food before in their life. It's just eating out of... There is that moment where I do feel like some people rush through their plates because they're scared it's going to finish before they can have a second part. You know what I mean? So... I completely understand that. Let people have their first plate and then you can come for seconds.
But even on that, so cool. I the thing about that and the way around it is just like to ask. So for example, like you might shoot yourself in the foot though. So for example, if it's like plantain on the table, right? Everybody's had a round, right? You finished yours. You want some more. Just like, oh, does anybody want none? And some? And then if no one says no, then you just take.
Yeah, no, I've had that. Like when people have finished first rounds and I'm just like, if I see that there's still quite a lot of food, I'm like, guys, you can still tuck in. And then people will be like, oh, okay, they're comfortable to do so. But if you can see, it's like, oh, there's one dumpling left. Who's going to get the last dumpling? And you can see the eyes and But I'm just like, especially if I'm your host, I'm not going to ever have the last bit of anything because you're my guest and I want you to experience more, because it's probably most of the time I know I can make some myself once you've gone.
So the thing is though, right, I can't lie, me trying to be polite have lost out on the last dumpling by asking, right?
Yeah.
And or waiting, whereas someone just say and just take the dumpling, then they've eaten it and it's gone.
I mean, it depends. Because whenever I'm the host, if I'm the host of anything, I do let my guests indulge more than I, because I always feel like. But anyway, as a host, there's another party trick I do. If I know the thing that I'm making, I don't make often, and I want one for myself, I leave it in the oven.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I leave some to the side for myself, right? And if you don't do that, I don't know who you are. Listen, but that's something for you to take away for next time.
No. That's I will. Yeah, definitely apply that.
Okay, so the next one for don'ts is don't take more than your fair share. You know what I do really hate is them people that you invite for dinner parties. They fill up their plate and don't eat, and they push the food around. They eat some, but then they push the rest of the food around like they've eaten it, but there's still a lot of food on their plate. One of my sisters does that. One of the twins does that. And we had to cuss her out at Christmas time because she took so much food, taking all the food. What did she eat? She took like 3 spoonfuls and pushed around her food, made it look like she'd done the biggest eater in the world. And my mum cussed her out. She was like, but you took all of this and them lot took a little bit because you took most of it and you're not even eating the damn food. That honestly, that operation irks me. That's why I've learned to minimal food on the table means minimal people. You take a little bit for everyone, and then you can say, oh, I've still got leftovers, bring out another portion, because then people will take more the second time around.
You know, it's funny. So 2 things I'm going to say. I can tell, you're speaking with your chest,
yes.
Right? So that, obviously that touched you.
It irks me. It's one of the things that irks me because it's just greed for no apparent reason.
So one thing I'm just remembering now that I used to do this as a kid, right? Especially with the plantain. It's always plantain at the source of this.
That's how much you love it.
So basically what you do, right, is a tactic, I guess, for people, right? You make sure you're the last to take the plantain, right? So everybody puts in their plate and you say so chances are everybody's taken just enough to leave for a second round.
Yeah.
But what you do is you let everybody take, and then when it comes around to you, you just say, oh, has everybody taken? And and then you just chew the whole thing into your plate because everybody's taken. And they said yes, and you asked, so you were being polite, and then you got all the plantain. But chances are you got 2 portions worth because of everybody left extra. And yeah, I used to do that a bit when I was young. Obviously, as you're older, you become...
Well, you must love that plantain, innit?
Yeah, plantain is nice. So fried plantain.
I'm not going to lie. I had some with my breakfast today. Like, it's a game changer.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is don't overload your full core plate.
You touched on that one, yeah.
Yeah. Don't gobble with your food.
Gobble?
Gobble.
Okay.
Don't chew with your mouth open.
Yeah, agree with that one.
Don't talk with your mouth full. Don't play at the table.
Play?
So it's just people who are just... Obviously, kids play at the table, meaning they're just like messing around with their toys and shit. You know?
Yeah, that's I used to get told that as a kid.
Like sometimes, like me and my cousin will sit at the dinner table and he'll be like kicking me or punching me underneath the table, and I'd be like, or would be doing that, like, and it does become irritating when you're watching it. You're just like, for fuck's sake, just go away. Like I remember, like one time we played so much at the table. My nan, halfway through, we didn't even finish. It wasn't even halfway through my dinner. Like she sent us to bed without finishing our food. Because she was so irritated by us.
Does it haunt you to today?
Huh?
Does it haunt you?
No, I actually laugh at the situation because we weren't doing anything but laughing.
Okay.
We basically, he told a stupid joke, yeah. But for some reason, it tickled us to the point that like we couldn't eat anymore. We like our ribs were aching with laughter.
Okay.
And my nan was like, she started cussing us in our language, and she was just like, okay, I've had enough. Like, both of you go to bed now. And we were like, go to bed? And that tickled us even more because she was mad. You know, like when your parents get frustrated and you're just like, fam, I didn't touch you. Like, I'm not being disrespectful. Like, for them, it's a disrespect because we started laughing harder. And she sent us to bed without finishing our food.
I think there's only one time I've been sent to bed early.
And that tickled, yeah.
And I deserved it. I was playing with like the electric fuse in the house. I think I pulled out the fuse and all the lights went off. I don't know what I was doing. I always say I could electrocute myself and died. So my dad sent me to bed. Like, yeah.
He obviously wanted to go to heaven real quick that day. Like he was having fun. I bet it was sparking. It was the sparks that were making you intrigued in it.
I don't know. I just, you're just a kid. You just like, oh, what's this? And there's like, I'm lucky I didn't get no licks that day. Yeah. I should have got beaten.
And electrocuted, but Yeah. Okay, the next one is don't hum or sing at the table. Don't tip your chair.
I just want to say something about that. So the reason why I want to say in it, this might take a bit of a darker turn on it, but so my mom has this thing about you're not meant to whistle in the house, right? And I always remember my uncle said a long time ago that basically, which I'm not sure if this links or not, but basically the not whistling in the house was something passed down from slave masters. Oh, okay. So what they didn't want to know, what they didn't want is that, let's say, if the black people were in the house, that they were happier than those outside on the fields or da-da-da-da-da. So that's something that's, I guess, ingrained, but that bit's forgotten. It's just this cultural thing of don't whistle in the house. But I don't know if humming da-da-da at the table stems from that or not, which is, I guess it'd be interesting to know.
That's true. I didn't even even reading it, I was just like, that's odd kind of thing. The next one is don't tip your chair or lean on the table. That's true. I hate people who lean on the table because I had that one time, right? So I didn't know the table was unsturdy, and I had one person lean on the table and they flipped the freaking food, didn't it? And I was just like, look at you and your big son. We didn't lose all of the food, but it's just the fact of like, why are you putting all your weight on it? Like, why did you think it can carry you? Like, it's that one thing. Like, why would you think that? Just because it's wooden, it doesn't mean it can carry you.
I'd be mad.
Yeah.
I've seen my mum and relative like take chicken out the oven and just drop it. And they were pissed.
Yeah, trust me. The two more. Don't eat with or lick your fingers. For me, that depends on what meal we're eating. If it's like crab claws or kind of like chicken wings and stuff, that's hands. Just do it with a little bit of eloquence. And the last one is don't push your plate away when you're finished.
I don't know. Maybe that's a cultural thing because, like, my mum might say, "Oh, you're not meant to cross your knife and fork or something."
Yeah, my mum says that.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing, and I know in Japan, I think it's Japan, when you eat like, I think it's ramen. People tell me if I'm right or wrong, but like when you finish, you're meant to slurp to show that it was tasty and you finished it. So, it's just, I don't know.
I think like, especially with etiquette, there's so many. I mean, this is kind of just like something very basic that we've read off and that we've discussed, but in different cultures, there's so many different etiquettes as well. Yeah. Like, I know in my culture, like the funniest one, like this one I would never get, and I know this is like so true in black culture. Like, you cannot take the biggest meat in the pot. Kids cannot have the biggest meat in the pot. They have to leave that to the elders. Like, I remember like when I first went to Zimbabwe, like after I was born there and I was raised in in the UK. So I'd be like, my first time going back to Zim, I think I was 8 going on 9, and I spent like 3 months over there. And I remember like the first time, is the first evening there, and it was dinner time. So I'm an English through and through girl by this time, and like one of the things that was very different to me is that like what they did has a sense of community, and which I actually really enjoyed. Is they used to eat in like sadza, which is like fufu. They would put it all in one big plate for the kids, and they'll put the sadza in one plate, and then they'll put the mariwo, which is greens, and then they'll put the meat in another plate, and they would actually count the pieces of meat, so it's 1 meat per person, and me, being an English girl, I'm just like, this is new to me, fam, because I'm used to having my own plate and my own ting, you know, and it's just like, y'all are like battling to see how much sadza that you could all eat together. When it came to the meat part, why did I miss out on the meat though? Because it's one of those things where it's like, even though it's 1 per person, you have to be quick on the jaw, because one of your cousins is going to take 2 and he ain't going to leave you any, you know. And that was a different experience for me, because I was just like, I didn't get no meat for the first time. Like, I'm left with the gravy part, you know, just the taste of it. You know what I mean? And one of the things is like, I know you just taste the meat. You just smell it. You smell the smell, and the taste of the gravy will make you feel like you ate the meat, but you didn't rip apart nothing in your mouth. So that was very different for me. And then, you know, like one of the things that we do in Zim is like has like helping out your mum dish out the food. You'll take a bowl around to all the elders, let them wash their hands and stuff before they eat sadza, and then you'd finish off with the kids. So you go with level of patriarchy, really, which is the dad, then probably you got your grandma, whoever's there. You do it in order of patriarchy. It's mad. And I've never not that I've never gotten used to it. I've gotten used to it because it's culture. In exclamation marks, right? But it's one of those things where I know in other cultures they do this as well, and it's just like mad. Because I remember one time I was out in the villages, I didn't know the order of service in that village, like, and I'm young, like, and I've grown up where in England, where in my house we don't do it like that. To be honest, the plate, like, you don't go in order of like patriarchy. We go in order of like whoever. Child, mum, whatever. But in Zim it's completely different, and I just got the order wrong. And then they started, you know, elders would be like, why you should have come to me first, because I'm like, yo fam, like, are we not, in my head I'm like, are we all not gonna eat though? But it's that thing about like hierarchy. I was saying patriarchy, but it's hierarchy. It's like patriarchy because it's always the man first, the man of the house. But yeah. So yeah, that's my experience of etiquette. Small experience. That's like one like straw of what I experience about food etiquette in there.
It's interesting what you just said. Because I won't mention a person, but I went to someone's house recently and they cooked, and then their daughter was like, "Oh, can I have the big meat?" I didn't even think 2 things about it. And then the mom was like, "Yeah, you can have the big meat or whatever," but just asking the question. I didn't even think nothing about it, but you saying it again remind me what like actually happened.
I completely understand where that young girl was coming from, because in certain households, I've been in certain households that isn't even Zimbabwean, and I've seen that you ain't getting the big daddy.
This was a Nigerian household.
And you know, like that, daddy gets the biggest meat in the pot, and you ain't touching that meat pot. Like mummy's giving you like, and that's one thing I have to say, in my family it's never been that. You take the meat that you want. My nan, like same. growing up I only experienced, I spoke about that etiquette because like when that was my first time going to Zim and experiencing that, and then my nan explaining that was the culture in Zim. But in her, and she even said to me, but I don't do it that way because of her experiences growing up. She never wanted us to grow up in saying that, oh, the dad, you must wait for daddy to come home and eat, or this, no, we're going to eat when we eat. When daddy come in, daddy go I'll plate him up his plate, and whatever's left, that's what he's going to have. So that's what I've experienced two sides of the coin, but I completely understand where that young girl was coming from, asking for the big, because in some households, you do not get big pieces. Some people aren't even eating meat, they're sucking the bones. Not in a bad way, but I've seen it for I've had the experience of seeing it, which I don't believe in that. I believe in you eat like my nan says, like, because I grew up with my grandma, you eat to your heart's content.
I'm going to be the weekly villain again. And,
yeah, we're done now. I wanted to say we're done now anyway. That was like that was my last word.
Fair enough.
So guys, we just went to Yolkin Ice Cream, and it's a macaron and ice cream parlour based in Soho. I've been trying to get to this place for like over a year now. And I was like really excited. I'm always excited about food, and I really enjoyed it. It was worth the wait. So it's like a macaron, which is like it's a French dessert. This is a really bad description of a macaron. So it's like it's an almond kind of biscuit, kind of. Yeah, it's kind of like a little flat biscuit kind of thing, which usually is sandwiched with like some cream or jam, but this company sandwiches it with ice cream. And I had the peanut butter flavor, and Lisimba had the blueberry cheesecake, which looked amazing. He didn't even share it. That's how it was. That's how I knew how good it was. He didn't even. Usually it's like, Natasha, do you want to try? He didn't even say that, so I knew it was good. Yeah, I had the peanut butter one. This has been worth the wait. I mean, I've been wanting to try this place for like over a year now, and I just haven't managed to get out, and it's really worth it. I chose the peanut butter one because I wanted to try something more outside my comfort zone. And I usually don't really like peanut butter ice cream or peanut butter flavored stuff because it's just everything is peanut butter. But this is nice and it's really subtle, and that's why I like it. It's the subtlety, and yeah, it's really good. And I love the ice cream. It's quite milky, and that's what I like about the ice cream. Good. Out of 10, I would definitely say it's like a 9, not a full 10, only because I suppose I want some sauce with it, but that's just my personal preference, but it's a good 9. I can even give it a 10. Like, I enjoyed it. Definitely come back. Definitely come back. And the other thing is, like, we got like the flavors already made, but you can also build your own. So you can have a macaron, brownie, or a cookie kind of base, and then choose your own selection of ice cream, and you can build your own. But yeah, the specials today were really, really good. Lisimba?
So now I'm feeling bad that I didn't offer any ice cream.
No, don't. It was amazing. It was too good to share.
It was too good, I guess, to share. No, it was bad boy. Like, it was really tasty. Like, so they had like the biscuity base thing. So I got the cheesecake flavor, the blueberry cheesecake. So once you like dive past the biscuity thing, and then you hit the ice cream, and then like it had a core of like blue. Anyway, so yeah. Cool. So I have this blueberry macaron with ice cream inside. There's like this cakey kind of texture on the top. I'm gonna dive in now. That is good. That is really, really good. Definitely tastes like cheesecake. My worry was like, you know when it says it tastes like it, but it doesn't. So this crumbly stuff on the top, I guess that's like what you found in a no-bake cheesecake. Is that right? You know, like you have a no-bake, right?
Yeah.
And then you put like the crumbly stuff at the bottom. That's this stuff.
Digestive crumbs.
Yeah. See, that's what it pays off to be with a cake expert, right?
I was decided to biscuit crumbs.
But the biscuit crumbs taste good. And the ice cream is really, really nice. Let me taste this. Macaroon. Okay, cool. This whole thing works well. It's a bit chewy. I don't know what flavour this is, like the macaron, whatever, but all of it together. There's this coconut flavour that they had.
Oh, it was pandan. Pandan coconut.
Something like that. But basically, when I tried that, because I had that as like a taster first before I went and I guess had the real thing, I thought it was okay. So my hopes weren't overly high. But when I went in and actually tasted that macaron, what did you say? Macaroon. When I had the macaroon, yeah, like 9, maybe and some change, 9.5. Like it was sick. 100% recommend it. Come down if you can. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, so that was our Flavour of the Continent this week.
As always, I want to thank you guys for listening and checking out this week's podcast. Don't forget to hit us up on all the social channels. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere. Don't forget to listen to us on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify,
YouTube. YouTube especially. Leave us some comments. Subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to try for Flavour of the Continent. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. And bye. That was such a weak bye. Like honestly, my vocal cords today are just not set. Bye.
See you guys.